On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO, we're going to talk to you about the newly released Lost Belt 3, but also, there's some sort of Japan news. Oh my god, is it a story release? What could possibly be happening right now? I don't even know. But also, we have a Teach Me, and debuting our new segment, Fan Servant Fridays. Hi. I'm one of your hosts. I am the Computer Overlord Omega. With me, as always, he's probably not just a simple farmer. Lucky. Resume. Alright, we had a slight technical hiccup there. Windows recently did a big update, which apparently reset everything. So you couldn't hear Lucky for a second there. Lucky, please restart your intro now that the people at home can hear you.
As I was saying, I hope everyone is enjoying Fate Grand Order, aka We Can't Pronounce Anything Here. And while we here at Studio Omega like to bring you the latest in FGO-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events for both the JP and EM versions of the game, so anyone not wanting spoilers should prepare to overthrow your oppressors.
Oppression.
Oppression.
We're probably going to talk a little bit about oppression today, guys. Okay. Yeah. So, by the way, I'm pretty sure technical difficulties are a drink cue, everybody.
Well, in that case, screw your Patreon intro. Starting now.
Just jump on in. All right. So, we're going to have a nice, healthy show for you today. I'll have to think of a funny name that covers all the things we're going to cover.
Oh, yeah, I got Misaki. I think that's all of them now. Wait, no. Damn.
But all right. We are ready to move on to this show, which will, like I said, among other things, talk about the new launch of Lost Belt 3. We'll do Mailbag, I have a Teach Me topic, I have another topic, and also, holy cow, there was news.
Yes.
But before we jump into all of that, I would really quickly like to remind you that this episode is brought to you by patrons like Adam DeHarp, Ahanga Comics, Architect 10, Blackest G, Carlos Qua, Jeremy Vasquez, Kylie Denton, Legendary Boss Hunter, Liam Kessler, Program, and Shawnee P. Some guy named Bob, Soda4247, Tweeting, and Zach Reed. If you like me, do want to see this working more, consider putting it on Patreon. You can access first early on for the goodies. It really helps us out. Thank you for whatever, everybody.
Thank you.
Look, he already popped his can. He can't do it again.
Yeah, I know. I can't double pop.
That's not how it works. Once you pop, you just can't stop. Okay, well, let's go ahead. Now the Patreon intro is out of the way. Let's go ahead and move swiftly on and check in real quick with everybody's favorite Kohai Mesh.
Senpai! 起きてください.
That's right, everybody. This is Wake the Fuck Up Senpai, our regular segment for Pro Tips. I have a basic one today because I couldn't think of anything cool. And went with level craft deficits, I guess. That's going to be a thing in like 2 years, I guess. So think about that now, because it really does take a lot of effort to get a craft essence to level 100.
I think I have like one at 100.
I don't think I have any at 100, but I'm also not very diligent about leveling craft essences once I max limit break them. I've got a couple I use a lot I should probably work on. Like, I have several that are like 30 or 40, but I've never gone all the way. But I do have some craft essence EXPs from the thing, so feed those in, I guess. But alright, let's go ahead and shimmy on down to Records from the Throne, our regular achievement topic. Just a heads up for me, in the pre-throwdown, I did manage to be blessed by a Leon. That's all I got. Didn't even get any of the new Cs. But, you know, something happened.
Oh, lucky on his side, he threw 6 tickets and 30 quartz, and also got himself a Ching Yongyu, and then Protector of Smile. And I'm declaring it now. The meme will be dead by the end of the time this show is ended. I will have protected Artorias' Smile.
He's calling his shot, folks.
I'm calling it. We are still at half AP dailies.
Yeah, I'm actually going to do those off screen right now because I have not only Leon to level, but also I don't think I've actually put a lot of EXPs into Tristan since I picked him for the 4-star ticket. So should probably have all my implements leveled up because unlike some people, I bring archers to fight sabers.
I shrug. You can't see it.
No, it's just, so, Lucky streamed about 5 hours of Lost Belt 3. I can't say a lot of, because I've skimmed it, and you do get a lot of phone calls from your mom in the first hour, so it's a little slow going. It's just, some of your team building decisions hurt me a little bit. I'm not sure if that was intentional.
Well, it only hurts if the team building actually gets into play, and during that fight, it didn't actually.
Oh. But, yeah. We don't have any real all-world evils, I believe, so we should go ahead and move on to popping in for the old... Did you finish your master missions? Which I have not, actually. I need to punch some more servants. But what I'm going to need you to do to finish your master missions this week is perform 30 FP summons, defeat 15 Knight class enemies, not servants or bosses, so Saber, Archer, Lancer. Defeat 15 and 30 Cavalry class, those other classes. not servants or bosses, and then defeat 8 servants. So, play Lost Belt. Do dailies or play Lost Belt. Which are both technically events, I guess. It is still half AP for like another 48 hours or 24? I don't even know.
I want to say 24, because I think it says 2 days right now, and we haven't hit the reset yet.
True. That's always the slightly weird thing about FGO. 1 day isn't 1 day.
Oh, wait, yeah, no, it's 48 hours, because we're on 2 days, then it's going down to 1 day, and then we'll have the 24 hours.
Okay, yeah, alright. So we got some time. Which is good, because it's not Lancers right now.
Lucky I had the brain for a second.
Brains. Speaking of brain stuff, Galaxy Brain Plays. Let's go into the news really quick. Well, I don't know how quick we'll be with the news, but we'll power it through. It's very interesting. Very, very interesting. So, these are both JP news items. The only news item in NA right now is Lost Belt 3 happened exactly as we said it would happen for a couple weeks running. So, there you go. It's not announced, but you can expect the second half banner probably in the next 6 or 7 days. Anyway, what did happen in JP was 22 million downloads. 22M. That is dropped. So it's got some of the usual things. It's got like a 10-part campaign or something, so let's run it really quick. You can log in for stuff. If you log in every day, you get 10 of things, up to 10 tickets. If you log in a total of like 4 times, you get some stuff. And so this is what I talked about. It's got those extra download campaign missions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, for a total of 20 Saint Courts, level any CE to 100. It's got like level a CE to 10, 20, etc.
Oh, okay.
And it builds up to being worth 20 Saint Courts, if I did my math right. Because I think it's like 4 plus 4 plus 12, I think, with the number of Saint Courts as you get. Because the individual amount you get gets higher the more you go up. But yeah, so it's a pretty decent level. Also, they've got another system for some special rewards, some limited time offers. Complete main quests, or story quests, as they are sometimes called, up to 7 times. Anywhere, by the way. Arc 1 or 2. I think Epic of Remnants maybe don't count. I'd have to double check. Sorry, I'm very coffee for some reason. It's weird. Maybe it was those salty turkey leftovers I had. But anyway, but also, so you do this is another Master Mission thing. You do this a total of 7 times for up to 14 Saint Courts, and 7 of a new item called a Spirit Stone. So what Spirit Stones do is they act as a 3 command seal revive, but only for main quests, and they have an expiration date. So basically, if you are in a story quest and the boss utterly flattens you, as they sometimes do, you can spend one of these Spirit Stones to do a full team revive and a reset.
Neat.
But they're only good for main story quests. I do believe these do exclude not Lost Belt, Epic of Remnant, which is a little weird considering some stuff we're going to talk about in a second, but EOR is usually the redheaded stepchild. And also, they're gonna stop the 31st of December, so it's like, only good right now. Only good if you're trying to catch up, like, right now. So it's really interesting to see this, because it's exciting, and I hope they do this more with, like, other future stuff, but at the same time, I'm like, but most people in our community, because Lost Belt 5 Part 2 comes out, like, late February, early March-ish. I think mid-March-ish, actually, because it's after White Day. And that is still, like, 8-ish months of gap time. Like, if it truly takes you that long to get the story, if you're having a hard time with that one, you will probably have just waited 3 days and gotten command seals back anyway, right?
Well,
So
I guess it's just for better action economy, I guess.
Yeah, no, what I think this is for people who are just, in general, not cut up, because it's a big download event, people may be joining because it's super famous, but it's a little weird for anybody listening to our show right now. You're probably playing the game, hopefully playing it in NA, but you might also just be playing JP, but even then, you're probably caught up, so it's an interesting concept. I don't know how useful it'll be when we get there. We'll also have to see how future stuff shakes out. But before that...
I definitely want to say that, probably a lot of people that listen to us and whatnot probably do, like, usually stay caught up with story, but even so, we've had stories of people where we're yelling at people, hurry up and get done with the Lost Belt before X event is, and some people still don't make it, so... Yeah,
that's true, but I'm just wondering if maybe were planning on taking some of that stuff seriously for a while. I don't know. I don't know what drives people to not do stuff. Like, I know we had some people talking about, like, oh, well, I'm not, I wasn't finished with part 1 at all. I'm like, haven't you been playing this game for, like, 2 years? What are you doing? And do you just not have free time? Okay, like, I get that, but I feel like most people who are, if they are being stopped by story difficulty, right? Like, they need to spend revives, they're probably okay. If they're not because they're, like, really fucking busy, I don't actually know if this helps or not. You still need time to actually sit down and do the quests, but I suppose this is a little bit faster than waiting for revives if you're a little low behind. It's still, it seems very weirdly specific is what I'm saying. And maybe this is just like a beta test.
Well, what I'm probably going to assume is they're probably going to bust these out anytime they're going to do a story event.
I could see that as, like, every time they're about to do story, do a pre-release campaign or something and give you some spirit stones. I do know that is something they are concerned about is, Nissan has said this before, but they're concerned about keeping people caught up on story, and you'll see why in a second. We're doing a lot of foreshadowing, even though we're only halfway through these bullet points on 22 million.
Okay.
But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see. So speaking of story catch-up, again, shocker of shocker, half AP story quests, half AP free quests if you're done with Lost Belt 5, specifically Lost Belt 5 Part 2. And yes, I double-checked the notes. It says only if you're caught up with story, do they give you half AP free quests. They're like, fuck you if you're not caught up with story. Stop farming free quests, nerd. Doubling great, actually, no. ×2 on Super Great Sec. That's how you grammatically say that, me. And all dailies open. So all training grounds and EXPs are open every day for like a week. We have a new NPCE called Take Romance. It features Romani and Majimari in the background. A lot of people were bamboozled. Majimari on the web browser screen doesn't look like Girl Merlin. Even though that's... I know a lot of people wanted to phrase it like that, but that's not really how that works, because she's from a different timeline, but anyway. Anyway, the new CE gives you plus QP and Master EXP.
Oh, QP and Master EXP.
I'd have to double check if it also works on... If it's like 5% for both, or it just works on... or it works better when you pick it as support. But it's like 1% default, I assume it MLBs to 5%. Also, previous CE, Detective Foams, is now in the Rare Prism shop. And as I think we mentioned this earlier, but the banner feature servant is Murasaki Shikabu.
Yeah,
she is getting a rate up, a solo rate up, with all of her Valentine's event CEs on rate up.
Powerful.
So just a little callback, a little Valentine's throwback. Get your shots at Murasaki. All that fun stuff. Now, why all this story-related, and even this Lady Murasaki type stuff is happening, is probably related to the next announcement, which just hit. That is, pre-release campaign for Lost Belt 5.5, Heian Kyo, Realm of Hell Mandala. You get all that, everybody? Write that down, you taking notes? Okay. The pre-release is running from the 27th to the 4th of December. It is an upcoming story event. It requires Olympus, Lost Belt 5 Part 2 cleared. So you have to be all the way caught up with story to participate. And we'll have spoilers for Shimosa. You don't have to clear Shimosa to do it, but they're like, hey, if you didn't take that detour, it's gonna spoil you, so watch out.
Yeah,
Oh, the sus levels are high. Lucky, there will be a JP stream for this on the 2nd of December.
I probably will not be able to watch it. But I don't know if I'm gonna call the shot that there might be an Ashia Doman fucking banner, but the implications are strong.
You would probably not be crazy to assume such a thing might be happening.
Yeah.
Since Doman did get a standalone trailer when Lost Belts dropped, so we know he's coming as a playable unit, probably.
Like I said, the terms Hell Mandala, Shimosa spoilers. The bonus servant list you're about to read is all fucking Heian period servants.
Oh, yeah. So, during the pre-release campaign, you will get double FP if you use or are used Sei Shonagon, Lady Murasaki, Tamamo, Shuten, Katodanzo, Kintoki, Raiko, and Ibaraki. Only vanilla versions, by the way. No, like, Summers or weird shit. Only actual historical Heian characters. But also, hey, it's a pre-release that comes with rank ups! Ding, ding, ding. Some big ones. So, Kintoki gets an NP upgrade. This means he does more damage, which is terrifying. But also, he slaps the enemy with 30% Buster Resist down for 2 turns. So, basically, the rest of the turn after he NPs and the next turn. I do believe the way this is phrased, they don't say it activates first. It's a counter effect. But it's Kintoki, so you're probably doing an NP BB chain, and the other guy is going to be real dead. He's going to take a big slappo on that one.
Oh shit, actually, no, that's right. Actually, real quick amendment, Kanto Danzo is not a Heian period servant, but Kanto Danzo has some fucking beef with Ashia Doman for a variety of reasons.
Also, I don't actually... Actually, when was Danzo supposed to be made?
I don't know when it was made, but Kanto Danzo historically was from the Sengoku era.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm
Weird.
pretty sure. I think she talked about like maybe, everybody's favorite mysterious astrology man.
Oh, Abe no Seme?
Yeah, Seimei was involved in maybe her design, but I don't remember exactly. I'd have to recomb the Shimosa
that's where we're
script.
gonna get. We're gonna have a fucking Abe no Seme banner and an Ashidoma's. I mean, we're just gonna have two big boys.
It's true. In her interlude, which I believe recently came out, she's the guardian of like 5 generations of Fumokotaro. So like she goes back a ways. I don't know.
Yeah, actually does.
But she's definitely plot related. Speaking of Kato Danzo, by the way, NP upgrade. Her NP damage is increased. Also, she gives the team 20% Buster Plus for 3 turns. So just normal stuff with AoEs. Now she has a certain support element in addition to her bonus damage. So you feel a reason to like make full use of her even if you're not hunting demonic enemies. Now, those were just NP upgrades, which are nice. They help keep people relevant. They increase their damage modifiers. They give them a little bit extra shenanigans to work in there. This last upgrade is a skill upgrade. It's weird. Featuring everybody's favorite candy-loving Oni, Ibaraki, who I would generally say doesn't need an upgrade, but I don't think she's going to say no to it. So first of all, this is to her disengage. Her disengage is now targetable. Which means that she has a targeted healing and debuff removal. Great effect. It also gives the targeted ally 50 to 100% critical strength for 1 turn. Okay? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, on the base level, that's already a really good skill. Targetable debuff removal, heal, and crit up? That's pretty solid. Wait, there's more. If that ally you targeted is a Shuten, yes, that's right, Shuten joins the Ilia Club in being enough of her that they make her a tag. Not really, but still. It's pretty funny. If that ally is Shuten gets 20 to 30% attack for 3 turns. It's a Shuten charisma. Great, I love it. And then, if Shuten is on the field, Ibaraki gets a 20% battery. So this is basically the Mount Oe Wombo combo.
Yeah, no, actually, I think there's a couple times in events where Shuten's like, alright, Ibaraki, let's get out of here, and Ibaraki just grabs Shuten and then just whoops on out.
Yeah. So yeah, no, this is now their Wombo combo teamwork move, and it's pretty good. Like, even without the Shuten synergy, this is already, like I said, a targetable crit buff with debuff removal. Great. If Shuten is on the field, Ibaraki now has a 20% battery. Flat, by the way, that's unrelated to skills. This means you can stick Caster Shuten, assuming that one actually gets the tag. I'm not actually 100% sure. I'd probably have to double check. Because it would be hilarious if it didn't work that way, but that would be a little limiting.
Well, yeah, because Shuten is still an SSR that you have to pull on banners.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also that means there's only one unit this combo works with. It's like even though it's kind of forced, at least with like Chloe's skill upgrade, that works for all Ilias, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So like it would be a little weird if they did not give this to the other Shuten, especially because I'm sure Caster Shuten would love a 30% attack buff for 3 turns.
Oh god, that's terrifying.
The big bully. I really need some blue caster gems to get those skills up, but I have been making use of my Caster Shuten in this story going on right now. And also, there's a summon banner, kids, for Kintoki, Raiko, Ibaraki, and Danzo with Onegaishima CEs. I fucking wonder.
I might throw it down on here for maybe some extra Raikos in a Kintoki.
Yeah, this is well, we'll have to see how the thing goes. Also, remember, this is basically literally coinciding with a Murasaki banner.
That's true. Well, as I said, Lucky, let's see here. We're 3 months away from our first chance. Lucky is slowly powering up.
He's like Colossus in the old X-Men game, just stealing up. Yeah, so between the two of these, one, obviously, some sort of Japan-themed event coming up, hitting us hard. They're calling it Heian Kyo, so there's that. And it feels like we're probably going to pull some triggers. Yeah. Will this be Tamamo's chance to finally be in a fucking story? Who knows?
Maybe. Oh, by the way, Heian Kyo is the former name of Kyoto. So
yeah. So Kyoto time.
Yeah.
It's gonna get weird, and it does not require Shimosa, but would be Shimosa related. So my understanding is there's a lot of open-ended Shimosa type stuff that still hasn't been dealt with, and we do know we haven't gotten a banner for Ashiya Domen, even though the game told us like over 2 years ago at this point, because we've gotten these trailers in English, that he would be coming out as an alter ego. So, like, a lot of people... there were also some... there have been some various Japanese themes that have come up, right, with ancient Japan, with the Guda Guda event and Himiko, right?
Yep.
So we've been on some interesting cylinders in a story sense. It'll be really interesting to see what they do and how this works. And like I said, I don't actually know if this is like a limited time type event or this is a new story chapter, like with a map and like a permanent map and everything. I actually legitimately don't know. I expect we'll get that clarification when the stream hits.
All right, right now, all Lucky wants is I need Tomomovich versus Vanilla Tomomo. I just need that fight.
That could probably happen. We'll talk some more about it.
Yeah, we're going to talk some more about that.
We'll talk more about Kona Chihuahua in a minute. Everybody's favorite Lost Belt 3 meme, other than the Gandhi joke you may or may not have heard. Actually, no, there's, I'm assuming a decent amount of it is the localizers going crazy, but there's actually a verity of lightheartedness in this chapter. We'll talk about that more later. But that's basically all of our news. JP appears to be sidling up to something big. We've just had a big drop over here in NA. And it's very interesting to see what will happen in this future. Also, I mean, it's hilarious. Resident Madman artist Paco did draw a Santa Ashia Domen, I think a couple years ago at this point. So that's pretty funny.
I've seen it circulating here and there.
Paco draws a lot of things, and we do know that because artists draw things, sometimes FGO does things. So, yeah. Like, I would be surprised if this is quote unquote Christmas, but we don't actually know what we're doing. Like, we're in weird and wild times, right?
I wonder what the chances are they'll make Ashia Domen a 4-star alter ego. I don't think that's
gosh, that is actually a good question, because some of those guys in the Lost Belt trailers are lower rarity. Canis is 4-star. Mandracardo was the rider. He was a 3-star permanent.
Yeah. Honestly, if this is a new event, I can see them dropping Ashia Domen as a 4-star and still leaving a slot open for an SSR.
I mean, if they do it, I really hope then it's Abe no Seimei just to drive that one home.
yeah, it'd be great.
That would be the move.
But yeah, no, like, hopefully, yeah. As I said, if we're doing Heian this, and it's like, either it's gonna be, I'm like, this is what's Lucky's, like, he's spitballing here, but Ashia Domen's probably gonna be a 4-star alter ego, and we're either gonna get, we're probably either gonna get an Abe no Seimei, or we're gonna get something completely out of fucking left field.
And I will also say, before anybody, oh yeah, Corday was in a trailer, she's a bronze.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, like they're all over the place with these new units rarities. So yeah, I will also say there may be some future story cameo characters. I don't know if actually no, we're about the same place. There's one guy you've seen in story, Hanzin, for instance, right?
Yeah, I've seen him.
Yeah, he has, or possibly Jin, or maybe Sin. I don't know. Welcome to our hell, guys. But he has a story sprite, right? We can say safely that, as we've already talked about it, he's not a playable unit yet. He does not appear as a playable unit after Lost Belt 3 directly. So, like, there are some future story cameo characters that they could also just, bam, bust out. Will it be Muramasa? That would not be on theme, but you never honestly, know.
If we're gonna say on theme, it'd probably be Tomovich if we're going that.
Maybe. I don't know. There's some...
I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, because they're calling this Lost Belt 5.5. I'm pretty sure the idea then there's... Basically, Lost Belt 5 was so big text-wise, they had to make it 2 parts. It also obviously has a lot of ramifications to the greater story, since it was that was the midpoint, the turn point, the climax in Act 2, I guess, or whatever. So... Obviously, there's a lot of fallout with different characters to deal with. I don't know if we are set up.
Yeah.
And do remember your spoiler? No spoilers. I have a specific NA spoiler and regular spoiler channel now to continue to keep the things under control.
But yeah, no,
which was very positively implemented, by the way. We swept up our Discord. Somebody asked if we could get an NA only spoilers, and I did a flash poll about it, and people seemed hyped for it. I was like, okay, I see what you're getting at, because some people take, I think, even though it's called Spoiler Channel, I think some people still take it a little too free. They'll fucking fire in with anime or manga spoilers out of fucking nowhere. Like, which I can't say I wholly approve of. Obviously, the place exists for spoiler discussions, but there's, like...
time and a place.
Yes, you should have a fucking context. You should be like, yo, did anybody read the latest chapter of My Hero Academia? I want to talk about it. Blah, blah, blah. Rather than, I understand the reflex to just be like, oh my god, he's broken in half. But, be a little more cautious. But anyway, yeah, now you got it set up so if you want to avoid your heavy level JP spoilers, because that is an actual thing that happens sometimes, is people will start talking about NA spoilers and then be like, well, 2 years from now in JP, blah, blah, blah. So it's a good split, and it seems to have worked out okay, even though I currently have it muted because I'm progressing in the story myself.
Yeah, but back on themes, like I say, if we're talking about theme, like on theme with like Heian period, Tomovich would be applicable for reasons, but at the same time, I don't think they're gonna fire off two of their antagonists in the same banner.
No, especially because considering they've saved her for so long, I feel like they're waiting for a very specific moment somewhere for Vitch, like an anniversary, or could even be New Year's after this, but like they're waiting for a big tentpole event to be like, boom, Tamamo.
Yeah,
give me your wallets.
Like, Vanilla Tamamo hasn't really gotten much love, so this could be a good chance for her, but we can't go anywhere in story without seeing...
No, like, that is and we'll discuss that later when we talk about first impressions, but Vitch is a constantly recurring character, and, like, they make great efforts to detail her at every point. Like, she literally has a new outfit every Lost Belt.
Dangerous.
I need to. She has her own leitmotif. Like it's a whole thing. Also, Lucky. This outfit's very popular.
Yes, I might have got nosebleed.
But yeah, so that's our speculation. I think there's a couple of different interesting things that may happen. We will probably have to, because the actual event is just going to happen sometime in December. I think they said maybe mid-December. So we're probably going to have to wait for banner details and actual like graphics until the stream on the 2nd, which isn't. That's it's like Wednesday. Yeah, so like. We'll probably have the info by the time we do next show, but I don't think the event will have started. Because, heck, the pre-release doesn't even end until the 4th, right? So,
yeah.
And also, it's entirely possible that they will remember they have a seasonal Christmas event to throw out, too, if they have one of those. I don't know. I hope they do, just because, man, this year, I know kind of why, but this year's been really bare bones for welfares. And I know that, we joked about this. Nobukatsu's kind of a welfare. He's almost like Bunyan in that respect. But yeah, I hope they remember that free units are good, because there are a lot of classes you're not guaranteed still, the way the game works. But hey, if they do some more weird permanent 3 stars, that can be good too. Okay. Well, Lucky. Let me check. It's about 30 minutes. We should probably move into our big hour of power on the mailbag.
Because
it's a big one.
It is a big one.
But unfortunately, guys, we have a lot to talk about on the back half, so...
Yeah, unfortunately. Again, we continue the trend of only during the weeks where we actually have a lot to talk about do you guys fill up this mailbag. We have, like, what? Let me see here.
I mean, so it makes sense because I have seen a lot of late week mailbag questions submitted. I'm gonna assume because Lost Belt 3 dropped on Thanksgiving, which is, a day ago. There was an extended maintenance. We didn't talk about that. It wasn't super extended. But there's a little bit of extension.
So a little bit of extra free quartz.
And got some apples out of it, I believe. Or was that for the rare prisms? Also, you finally got your rare prisms. As Lucky said on stream, that's a lot of rare prisms. I think I had, 2 and I went to, 7. So, yeah, welcome to the future, guys. Actually, this is a good question before we start mailbag. We should probably get it out of the way. Unless it's asked in here somewhere. And we can just cut those people off. You could buy the new Bond Grail for 1 mana prism.
Yes.
We both picked ours up, I believe. Lucky, did you spend yours on somebody?
Oh, yeah. I shoved that directly into Tamamo.
I figured. I just wanted to make sure. I have not spent it yet, because I think the servants I would want to use it on are not actually Bond 10 yet. I don't go crazy for Bond farming. And I haven't, just because my Waver and my Lancelot are Bond 10 does not mean I'm going to get off my ass and find some new guys to 3-turn. 3-turn Embers guys. Same with Arash, maybe when Shen Gong comes out, I'll be like, okay, Arash can take 5. I can make this system work. But yeah, no.
It's a lot of my Bond 10s are literally because I just keep rotating Berserkers out.
Mm-hmm. So, I am very close to Bond 10s with, Ishtar and Mordred, but they're not quite there yet. Maybe we'll get some action on this Lost Belt, because goddamn, you get a lot of Bond, baby.
big bone. I'm trying to keep my Tamamo in as much as possible.
I've noticed. It's fine. Lucky doesn't care if he takes 5 million turns. Who am I to stop him? He does what he wants.
So I accidentally turtle strapped. My bad.
Well, it's so funny because we really should save that for the first impressions, but I feel like I don't want to break up my thought. Because Lan Ling is basically a turtle boss.
Yes.
Because his NP is non-offensive, so it's just kind of funny to see you guys start accidentally mutually turtling and just be like, okay, alright.
It only took 19 turns?
Still. It's a funny one. Watch the stream, guys. It was very popular. Got some views. Okay, let's mail back.
Alright. Okay, so everybody, take a seat, get comfortable, and get ready to listen to a lot of my voice as we're about to start Let's Talk FGO Mailbag, the segment where I read out all your lovely, lovely submissions within a 1 hour time limit, and we respond. Sometimes with knowledge, sometimes with sass, sometimes, Anyway, the timer is set, and it starts meow. Our first one comes from man recovering from Hololive Hole.
You never truly recover from the hole.
No, there's only relapses. But they say, my question, if you guys could pick a servant skill to have, what would it be? Lucky goes with the answer they went with last time. Primeval Runes, Skahawk skill that just says, hey, I can just do what the fuck ever.
Yeah, I believe we've literally answered this one before. I don't think I said Primeval Rune, but I definitely said one of the dumb skills that becomes any other skill.
I think you picked Quetz's, maybe?
Yeah, Quetz's Wisdom of the Great God. That's a great one.
Something like that. Anyway, but we keep moving, because we got a lot, and I want to get through as many as possible. So thank you very much for your question. We move on to, man who didn't take his friend warning about Camelot seriously is now paying the price. I know this feel.
What happens when you don't listen to people?
Well, actually, I guess Lucky should say, I dug my own grave and jumped into it, because I'm like, yeah, I know it's hard, I'm still going in blind, fuck you guys. And then there was pain.
I mean, at least in that case, you can be like, you can take the self-satisfaction that you're like, I acknowledge this is difficult, I'm going to do this anyway, rather than just, nah.
Well, I guess that's true. That's how I like to handle challenges. But, let's see here. This person says, if you can orchestrate a Holy Grail War or Greater Grail War, where would it take place, and what servants would you like to participate in? Bonus question, which Hololive member would you like to see as masters in this scenario?
Wow, that took a swerve in the third act.
Yeah. If I wanted to place a Holy Grail War, what place is actually interesting for me? Normally I would say Atlantis, but actually I don't know. Like, I have an idea where I think, like, interesting lost belts or singularities would be, but nothing for, like, just a ye old-fashioned...
I mean, yeah, like, location really doesn't... other than home field advantage shenanigans, location doesn't really matter for a Holy Grail War itself.
Like, well, I guess I would have to say, like Seattle, because I'm a Pacific Northwest boy, I love it here. And we actually have, like, a lot, like, there's just the whole state of Washington is just fucking wild in the environment. We actually have rainforest here. I think we're the only place in the continental United States that has a honest-to-God rainforest. And then you go over to the mountains, and we got fucking arid badlands and stuff. We have, like, swamps in the south and stuff, and, like, our big hub of commerce is Seattle. You can find a lot of weird shit there. Not to mention that there's, like, always, I don't know what it is, but the Pacific Northwest has always been, like, this big cultural touchstone on a lot of paranormal things. So I can definitely see a Holy Grail War working out here somewhere. Megan, do you have anything specific in mind?
I mean, place-wise, I have my own thoughts, because, hey, spoilers, I have a Fate homebrew. I'll probably run an actual Grail War campaign in it someday. It would probably be somewhere in the stateside, because I know that's already kind of happened with Strange Fake, but also Strange Fake is like, blah, blah, blah.
Also, if I remember correctly, that takes place in, what, Vegas?
No, I think it's just middle of nowhere, Nevada. Like, you can throw a rock and hit Vegas, but it's like some fake town's called Snowfield. It's like the most, it's the like most Japanese, like, we don't know shit about America, so
yeah, that's what I was about to
America
say. It's like...
town.
That's what I was about to say. It's where everyone has blonde eyes, tall, and has big titties.
So I would probably set it in America. I could do Eastern Seaboard or Western. I don't know. It's like, I would just want to do it here because there's some interesting relationships with, like, oh, the Mages Association doesn't pay attention to America or whatever, you know. like, there are interesting habits to be held. And I would obviously, I think I've talked about this. I have my whole zone area thing of, like, I would want to do a Greater Grail type setup and do some fun shenanigans with, my basic campaign idea is that the Einsburns are sore losers canonically and would not stop just because, Rin and Waver were like, nah, eat us the Greater Grail. So, basically, they try to build it again, and it probably doesn't work, and it's borked and fucked because it's fate, and nothing ever works as planned. That's my rough high level. But no, I would do 2/3 factions because it would be for the 3 founders. So it would be Team Tosaka, Team Mato, and Team Einsburn. There you go. There's my plan.
There's his plan. As for Hall Live members, Lucky likes Hall Live. He finds them funny and entertaining. He can't remember all their goddamn names.
There's a lot of them. Also, they're... I know they have characters, but for the most part, they're just people. So, like...
Yeah.
I mean, unless you want to make it like their characters, but that gets really confusing. Fucking Calliope Mori shows up. Hi, I'm a Grim Reaper. But also servants, I guess. That sounds like a fucking Fate story.
Well, I'm fine. Spoilers, well, not really spoilers, strange to say, but some shit happens. Shit's weird.
There's a lot of weird people. But I mean, they're, again, they have their own internal continuity, but also are just people. Their characters are not written to slot into Fate, so...
So, we're gonna hand wave that.
We should just agree, Lucky, that it should be Korone for Korone noises. That's it. There we go. We're done.
Yes. Sorry, I'm just thinking of Korone playing fucking, what was she playing? Oh yeah, Assassin's Creed, and it's just all the noises she makes when she sometimes kills people. Just imagining that. Oh,
Doggo murder noises.
Doggo murder noises, yes. The best. Anyway, we move on.
Also, Korone plays Assassin's Creed for like 6 or 7 hours at a time on stream. Holy shit.
I think she did like 24-hour stream once too, didn't she? I don't know. I have to check up on the dog.
Anyway, let us move on.
This next one comes from Plot Monk MVP for LB3. And they say, question, would you like your server to get an animation update first or a buff first?
I mean, I think most of our favorite servants have both.
I guess I wouldn't mind having... I feel like sometimes Tomo's animations could be a little bit more fancy, but at the same time, I'm okay with them.
She has like 3 tiers.
Yeah.
Or 2 tiers of animations. Because she can't do her sick Tamamo spins when she's wearing her formal kimono.
Yeah.
Spin to win. My favorite animation. Yeah, I don't know. I like Mordred's animations. Artoria did get a mana burst buff, so just saying.
Yeah, I'm about to say Tamamo still hasn't got her curse buffed yet, so.
And I believe other people with high level curses have got buffs. So, actually, didn't we? Yeah, that's right. We talked about this when Castoria came out, and we were like, "Listen, just because you think Tamamo's not as good yet, this is FGO." Ibaraki got a buff that's really good, guys, even though she was already a pretty good unit. These people are literal madmen.
I'm just waiting for him to upgrade it from Curse to fucking Killing Stone.
Heckin', they could drop it in this event for all we know.
I don't know. I feel like if they were going to do it, they would have dropped it with this pre-campaign.
I mean, probably in the pre-release, but we really don't know.
Yeah. So we're going to move on. Thank you very much. This next one comes from Shion, who wishes everyone a fluffy turkey day. The fluffiest of box. There we go. Those are turkey noises, not chicken noises. Actually, I can't really say that. I don't have turkey or chicken. Well, actually, I did have chicken. I'm going to tell that story tomorrow on What's Up. About 4 phone called Lucky.
Okay.
So
I'll make sure to put a turkey in the thumbnail tonight.
So they say, greetings, Lucky and Omega. I just wanted to say, I hope you guys are doing well, and may your rolls be blessed. So I'm going to tell you right now, when you first said rolls, I was still thinking about Thanksgiving, and so I thought actual, bread rolls, and I was like, wait.
Blessed bread rolls.
Delish. But thank you, and I hope your rolls will be going well as well. So we move on. This next one comes from, I got 2 words. Help. Poignant pause. And they say, statement. Good luck with LB3 and have a nice day. Lucky already had to spend 1 sane quartz. Because fuck you guys. I'm not talking to you guys. I'm talking to those guys. They know who they are.
Them's guys.
Yeah,
I had to, I just ditched a certain boss fight because I was like, I didn't realize this was 2 large boys. I thought this would be many small boys. Hold on. Let me try this again.
Lucky for that fight decided to get his fuck you button. With,
button.
Uncle Vlad is a great button.
Yeet us. I understand the context of your alias.
Yes. So
unfortunately, help is not coming.
No. No one can save you but yourself. A very poignant lesson I have learned in life. Anyway, thank you very much. I hope you have a great time getting through Lost Belt 3 as well. Because we're moving on to Sencho is Love, Sencho is Life. Sencho would probably make a fun master. Anyway, they say, ahoy! In your opinion, what items in the RP shops are best value for a non-whale? For a non-whale, huh?
I would say avoid crystallized lures.
Yes, avoid lures, avoid foes, avoid... Honestly, probably, right now, probably your best thing to do is just to save them for your Chaldean grails.
I think because you can get like 1 bond grail a month, I believe. And those are worth a lot. As a non-whale, those are worth a lot of Saint Quartz if you can get them to pop.
Yeah.
Maybe? I mean, if you missed any like, trial quests or mystic codes or anything like that, those are very important.
Well, maybe not every mystic code, but there are some specific ones, maybe.
Yeah, there's definitely some strats with specific mystic codes you may want back. Similar with CEs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, while all of them are good, there are a couple that are, like, defining. Yeah, like lunchtime is essential. Like, that extra bond level stuff cannot be denied.
Mm-mm.
And then, I think, what else is in the Rare Prism shop these days?
It's usually costumes, CEs, trial quests. You can get code unlockers.
I would say code unlockers are not important as a
no. Usually crystallized lures, friend points, and the 4-star foes. There might be other things, but that's all
I would say any of the normal shit you can just get in events, skip it. Get the stuff you can only get in the Rare Prism shop, like the Bond Grails, like the rerun stuff if you need them, certain CEs, etc. And then that's probably your best focus.
Yeah!
And that is our humble opinion. Oops, did it in the wrong order? Well, I guess I'll have Fren blow up this turn.
Explosions.
Listen, we're doing a show right now. Sometimes I'm not paying attention to which order I push buttons in. It really doesn't matter. Fran's NP5, so I'm just killing hands, but, strong. Usually you put her on the back end. Anyway.
This one comes from Master stockpiling his quartz to make a lamp in order to draw over a Mothman.
He is very mothy.
Yeah, like, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about them first impressions. Heck.
There's a semi-tangent, but I'm actually, because I know most of the outline of the stuff before it happens, because of JP things, it's always really interesting to see what order stuff is revealed in, because complex concepts usually come later out of story in JP, because they take a while longer to translate, whereas fights are obviously self-explanatory. Oh, gee, I guess I'm fighting this person, So I'm actually found it quite interesting and refreshing what order some of this information is revealed. I'm like, we're just starting right there. Okay, cool. All right,
great.
But yes, we were in the middle of this question from this person.
Who says, question, hey you two, hope you've had a good past couple of weeks, both in FGO and in life. Meh. As for my question, which, if any, Noble Phantasm voice lines, either the voice acting or the line itself, stand out to you to the most? Well, I'm gonna continue shilling, but again, I love Abby's NP. The line she delivers is super powerful.
Abby's got a pretty good NP chant. I mean, I would be remiss if I did not bring up every single time Unlimited Blade Works. It's iconic.
It's
a mem.
Let's see here. I like Talamo's, but it's not necessarily anything flashy or particular.
No, I mean, and I'm trying to think of lines specifically. I keep getting distracted by MP themes. MP themes are always great. Like Tamamo's plays hers, for instance. Nero plays hers. Like, those are really good. But, there are a few who have some really interesting deliveries. Abby is one. I mean, I always watch through and listen to the audio on Hokusai's as well. That's just because I love those visuals so gosh darn much. So, I don't know.
I'll put fucking, I said people don't like her, but I'm gonna put Kiara's MP out there just because the way she delivers is so amorous, but what's actually happening is fucking terrifying.
Yeah, that's, speaking of delivery, Kiara does have a really great delivery for hers.
Yeah.
Oh, and actually, speaking of delivery and stuff, we should probably bring up, because they both reference poems, both Murasaki Shikabu and, Seishonagon. Because that's just literally just reading some of their literature, which is pretty cool, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, Tristan's Spawn 1 now.
I should probably double check on Murasaki's VA.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head. Anyway, we have much to do.
We have much to do.
And many miles to go.
Yep. So, there you go. I hope you enjoyed the answer. Thank you very much for your contribution. We move on to the man who accidentally discovered time travel because now it's Thanksgiving and he has no idea where the rest of November went. I know this feeling sometimes. Welcome to Relativity. But they say, question. If someone were to ask you, how crazy is the Master of Chaldea, what is your favorite moment in FGO that expresses just how epic batshit insane we are?
Golem Punch.
Wait, what would you say?
Golem Punch.
Golem Punch is pretty powerful. But, like I said, it's not recorded by time or history, but we did stand up to a literal piece of humanity and just be like, alright, man, put your fucking fist up.
Bonk.
Bonk. Because, like, honestly, like, speaking of it, I really never realized how, like, actually powerless we are until Kat was like, yeah, no, he can literally do nothing except, summon servants, and his only magical support is because he has a mystic code to do it for him. He's just like, oh.
Yes, we are incredibly dog shit of magic.
We are completely dog shit. And we just see this ultimate demon god who has, like, perpetrated, like, one of the greatest heists in human history, literally stole all human lives, and we're just like, I'm gonna punch him. But I will definitely say Golem, like, for me, Golem Punch is immediately right after that. Just cue Kodak screaming, "You're riding the Golem!"
Well, and that's why Kodak has that conversation with the Cryptors where he's like, no, guys, you don't understand. The Master of Chaldea is a lunatic because that's literally the only thing they've got.
Yep. So good. So good.
No, I mean, semi-spoilers. We'll talk about Akuta later. Different Cryptors do different things. It's weird. Anyway, let's keep powering on through.
Powering on through, so thank you very much. We move on to Aircord 418. Okay. And they say, hello, Frame Lord Omega and Rescue Luck. What? Actually, have I fixed the what emote yet?
What?
Not completely. I should probably go back and fix it, but it's still there.
So I believe this is what the kids call a Yu-Gi-Oh reference. Though Axe plays Cyframes, not me. The Rescue series, Lucky, is a series of cute animals in rescue outfits, like Rescue Rabbit.
Oh.
Who also do good things, so they're very iconic.
Oh. I've been educated.
We could probably do some Rescue Rabbit.
Hey, an Architect is there.
Yeah, no, we could probably do some memes.
Anyway. Yeah. Okay, Aircore from 1A, I have immediate sass for you. Immediate sass. Alright, so I'm gonna read this question. And I want you guys at home to think, didn't Lucky say something about this in the last 2 weeks?
Yes.
They say, hello, Frame Lord Omega and Rescue Luck. I was wondering if you had seen Fate's Day Night Heaven's Feels 3 Spring Song, and if so, what do you think?
It's like people don't listen to us, Lucky.
I heard. I'm hurting. I'm fucking hurting right now. I'm not even gonna answer this. It was last week. Was it last week?
It was literally last week, yes.
It was last week. Go back and listen to last week's show, specifically Not All the World's Evil, and you'll have your fucking answer. I'm done. We're moving on.
Well, I should say, I haven't seen it. There you go. That's me.
Yeah.
Now we're done.
Omega hasn't seen it. Lucky Sass meter has just jumped up to level red.
We are now at DEFCON, at SassCon 1. Sass Condition 1. Anyway.
So, this next one comes from Aresh Best Girl. It's good to have opinions. But they say, hello everyone! Hope you have a good week. Just a question. But is it just a question? Until what era do you think DW will get servants? Until 19th century? Or other time period? Hope you have good roles in whatever band you choose by. I like how they just said bye. Just super
yes. Quick. Okay.
Alright, so hang on. I gotta...
I appreciate you used commas. That put some weird pauses in the sentence, though.
Okay, yeah, so until what era do you think DW will get servants? Until 19th century. Or other time period?
I mean, what point do you think they will stop? Well, that's a really big question. I mean, technically Voyager's like from like 2025, but anyway.
And Emiya is fucking from the future, so I don't know. What is time?
That's a good question. Are we in the Emiya timeline yet? I mean, I know Earth is fucked right now, but Shiro was what, like 15 in the year 2004? It's 2020 now, canonically. So yeah, BB's also from the future. She's from the 2030s. There's a lot of weird stuff they do. In general, no. I think for purposes of general uses, they will stick to 19th century or very early 20th century, such as pre the First World War.
There will be exceptions to the rule as always, but as the general rule, that's probably where we're going to be sticking.
Just because that has to do with the factor of mystery, and I gotta be real, if you had to pick a point for mystery to leave the world, the First Industrial World War would be a great time period for it.
We did pick up a lot of communication sensor technologies at the time.
And also just, speaking about, like, the just grinding technological advance of war.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few, like, World War I eras, like, hey, talk about Fanservant Friday. I got a stat line for the Red Baron somewhere.
Oh, you did make a... I remember.
Yeah, I got
why was I looking that up again?
It was for a Star Wars thing.
Oh yeah, Star Wars, that's right.
Yeah, Tesla and Edison, they were born before that, but still.
Mata Hari was in there in World War.
Yeah.
What was Mata Hari?
Yeah, Mata Hari was First World War. So, like, there are some mysterious things in there, but that's definitely the period where I think mystery starts to, like, sharply decline in favor of, like, what the kids call gritty realism.
War as hell.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, short answer is, time is fucked, y'all. Anyway, so this next one comes from that one guy who got Shiki for Thanksgiving. Didn't I get my boy Shiki for the Thanksgiving, man?
I know. Oh, actually, I probably should have put this. It's not All the World's Evil, but there was an attempt made with like 8 tickets on Musashi Day, and I got fucking nothing. So, welcome to me. Hi, how you doing? Let's read your question.
Right. So, this person says, do the other women that make up Tomomo's 11 even have anything to do with her and Fate? Because she seems to be completely separate. At least there's nothing on the Type Moon wiki about them and her profile. Yes, but actually no?
Yeah, I think so, because hold on. I'm actually pretty sure.
In Tomomo's profile, they do refer to her as a Chinese beast as well, but they don't specifically call out her other aspects.
With Daikini Deva.
Mm-hmm.
No, so reverse, background. Okay, so that doesn't in that one. There are definitely, like, cross-references.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that they are not necessarily directly related, but they are because myths.
Yeah.
Because they are syncretized. That's the word I was looking for. Because they are syncretized, they have influences on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And remember how that works for heroes and for divine spirits as well.
Yeah, like, just think of how we have, like, all, like, different versions of same servants, just in that different aspects of their myth. It's pretty much the same thing. It's why we have things such as alters and alter egos. It's the same, but not.
Oh, yeah, okay, so it's in her skill list. It says that she's the equivalent of Daji. So, like, yeah, they're not actually the same person, because as Tomomo, she has a specific incarnation, but that's also true in that version of the myths of Tomomo anyway, so, like, it's just, same archetypes, different
Actually,
occurrences.
If I remember correctly, incarnation of Tomomo spans, like, several thousand years.
Yeah, there's, like, 3 or 4 different.
Yeah. So, they can, yeah.
Also, don't say Fate merges a lot of legends.
That was Hokusai.
Yeah, this is pre-merged. This is actually the much later folklore of Tomomo no Mai is like, Tomomo no Mai, the evil fox, also known as this, and that other one.
It was Hokusai who actually merged them for a painting, I believe, or something, in Speculum. I can't remember. Also,
by the way, people are discovering, yes, Indian servants are really fucking old, because the Indians had a discrete time system, like they had discrete calendars and eras and stuff, so the stuff that was supposed to have happened in the Ramayana and the other earlier stories is, like, really fucking old.
Mm-hmm.
Although not necessarily older than human history. OSP posted a great video about the Zodiac legends today, including that some of these observable stars may have existed since, cave paintings. Like, you see those cave paintings of bulls? those might have been the constellation we now call Taurus. Like, that might have been a sky thing.
Mhm.
Because people have always thought that one particular constellation was some kind of horned dude. That looks like a bull. We know what those are. Anyway.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Fucking, so, like, real quick, just to let you know how fucking, dated it is, Daji was apparently Tamamo's first incarnation, and that happened around, fucking between 1600 and, 1000 BC. Tamamo no Mai, as we know him, was in the Heian period, which was, like, 14? No, was it 14? It was like 1900s, like 1400s. So yeah, there's several thousand years, and there's a couple other incarnations in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were a few gaps. Because there was one that was Indian, for instance.
Yeah, that was Lady Kaio, I believe. And then there was another Chinese one, Bao Si. I don't know, Bao's gonna murder me about pronunciation later. But whatever. So, like I said, well, as I was saying, Tamamo got a lot of time underneath her belt, and maybe not a lot of memory about things that work. I don't know. We will see! So we move on. This next one comes from Barrel Goot.
Hate that guy. Daji. No, I think we all could figure out how to pronounce Lady.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about fucking. Hang on, let me type it.
Daji.
Which is Tamamo's third. Well, in a Hokusai is.
Yeah, in the woodblock print.
Yeah. As I said, I should have mentioned that Fate does do weird ass things.
Yes, like we talked about, the syncretism with Amaterasu for Tamamo is very weird and specific because Nasu has actually studied some esoteric Buddhist shit and is a complete madman. Like, is the timer paused?
Actually, I'm gonna fucking tie the palm of the timer.
Okay, because I'm gonna go on a slight tangent about that part because that's not what they asked, but we should bring this up again. Because there are certain... So, Buddhism moved into Japan, right? Like, it flowed out of India, basically. Hinduism turns into Buddhism, flows out of India into China. That's the journey to the West. And then into Japan. And so there's a lot of syncretism and stuff going on, a lot of comparisons. So, good old Nasu, our resident mushroom, learns or might even have observed that there are some shrines and temples to Amaterasu, where if you go all the way inside, the inner shrine is actually a shrine to the Deva Daikini, a Hindu deity, which Tamamo is associated with, in Fate anyway. And so basically this became part of Nasu's extra syncretism levels for Fate, where canonically, and this was even I believe proposed by certain sects of Buddhism and Shintoism with knowledge of the outside world, the Hindu deities moved out of India and ended up in Japan because it was cool there. Which is why Raiko and Arjuna are said to be related, because the thunder deity that Raiko is descended from is said to be syncretized with Indra. It's just Indra with a different face. So, Amaterasu is Daikini also, in addition to all of her other things, and therefore, she is a fox. And then Nasu was like, but if Amaterasu's a fox, what's my most famous fox? Boom, done. I made a weird thing. And that's how you get golden-faced white-furred fox.
Oh, by the way, when Lucky was on one of his weird benders and he came up with something wild, if there was ever to be a Hakunu face, it should totally be, I totally forgot how to pronounce it! Oh, Tsukuyomi. You know, the ruler of the moon.
Yeah, also, that would be pretty funny.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, has not been very well approached by Fate.
No.
Like, we can assume some side blow for, Susanoo, because Orochi gets mentioned a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Big Snick. And
Big
Amaterasu is a key point of a lot of this. Tsukuyomi gets a lot of shit, and just gets kind of put in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty funny.
Actually, it might not work, but actually, Lucky's been doing some digging. There's actually a little bit of syncretism between fucking Lady Kaguya and Murasaki, of all things. It's a little wild.
We'll have some interesting things to talk about later.
Yeah.
Okay, let us resume the timer and go to our next question. This was, or rather, finish this question by Barrel Good.
Barrel Good. Also, no, Tsukuyomi is the, am I pronouncing it wrong? I could be.
No, it's Tsukuyomi.
Yeah, that's the male god of the moon, wife, husband to Amaterasu. Well, estranged. spouse of Amaterasu.
Grand Archer Ho Yi Wen. Anyway, sorry, that's a thing with Dallas. No, that's a lot of people think that guy should be pretty important. He's pretty cool. Tsukuyomi is the moon deity, made at the same time as Amaterasu, supposed to be and actually was one of Izanagi's other eyes. I don't remember which order it was, but it was wash eye. That was Amaterasu and Tsukuyomi. Then washed his nose, and that was Susanoo. Mm-hmm. The storm god is the nose. Who knew? Anyway, very good.
So timer is restarted. So they say, "Hello there, Lucky Nomega. Just a simple question: how old is Mash the protagonist as of Lost Belt? Thanks and keep up the great work." I don't actually know. All I know is apparently they're still not of drinking age.
Well, we have discussed this recently with Lost Belt timers. The Lost Belt timing is no longer 1-to-1, right?
Yeah.
Because, 1 month passed between Lost Belt 2 and Lost Belt 3, where it has been 3 or 4 months?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Did they even... I don't even think they really gave them the starting age to work with, if I remember correctly.
Well, let's see if I can dig up. Mash, do you have a birthday?
I think Matt...
All right, Mash's birthday was 25 in 2016. I do believe this is the OG version of the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
In 2016, she was 16. So do remember that in NA, that's moved up 2 years because they moved all the dates because there was a real credits time. So Mash would be turning 18 in July of 2020 in our timeline. So yeah. That said, I don't know what month it is in 2020. Yeah. Nor also, even though, a lot of anime characters, she has a canonical birthday, we've never celebrated poor Mash's birthday. I'm pretty sure the intent with July 25th is that's supposed to be, the launch day, kind of. Even though it's not exactly when they line up. I think it's kind of similar to how, some places will say FGO launched in the US a couple days before we could actually play the fucking servers, you know?
Mm.
Lucky and I both had the app downloaded for a whole day before the servers opened.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so, MASH at least is that old. There you go. Probably year of birth is supposed to be 2000 or 2002, because...
I need someone to smite Dallas real quick.
Well, what are you on about?
Oh, he's just does MASH have a birthday? She technically wasn't technically born. I'm just sir. That's
not how that works, Dallas.
I know.
Listen, you can yell to me about brains all you want. That's not how that works.
Designer baby still needs a womb. Whether it was a surrogate or artificial, still needs a womb.
And let me see if, for some reason, they've established a birthday for the protagonist. I'm gonna say probably not.
I don't know. As a self-insert, it's probably this is why you insert your birthday.
Yeah, so basically, it's your birthday, but not your birth year. It would make sense if they were the same age as MASH for symmetry. But yeah, that's my best guess because Dallas, you should know this also. Fran's not a corpse. She's a doll. She's made of cables. We've seen this with our eyes. So there's probably some corpse bits in there. Everybody's robot fetishes. Well, let's not go too whole hard on the book. The book is different.
The book is different.
Check out OSP's Frankenstein video for just how different. It's wild. Though that I did like that video because that made me realize something about our Fran, because apparently you might think, why is Fran cute? Well, no, the creature, the monster in the book was actually supposed to be pretty handsome and dope looking. Victor wasn't a slouch in it, but in the book the guy's eyes were supposed to be really creepy and unsettling. And so Fran has heterochromia, though you can't see it most of the time. So she has weird eyes, which, especially for that period, would probably have been slightly unsettling.
The evil eye!
Especially because one of her eyes is amber, or yellow-colored.
The devil does both in them.
Nah. Fran noises.
Heart melts. Anyway, we keep going. So thank you very much. We did thoughts. This next one comes from How the Tables Have Turned. So, they say, "Greetings, Lucky and Omega, how it go?" Somewhere. So back in 2018, for the Knights of the Round Table banner, I tried to roll for Saber, but got spooked by Mordred and Saber Alter. For the recent Heaven's Field banner, I again got spooked by Mordred and Saber Alter. Fortunately, I got Saber this time, but my question is, have you ever been spooked by the same servant while rolling for the same servant? Lucky had to look up and to the right and stare into that distance as he thought. And I can't necessarily say that I have.
I gotta be honest, I don't usually re-roll on servants I miss. Not seriously. I think the only big time was summer, and no, I was not spooked by Tamamo again while rolling for Mordred Summer. Otherwise, some crying may have been had. But no, I don't think I've gotten any serious.
No,
Like my additional Aresh Kigal efforts went pretty well. I got Aresh, and while I did get a spook, it was a Liz who was completely out of nowhere. I did not get NP2 Enkidu before I got NP2 Aresh, which would have been a thing.
I'm not going to say it probably hasn't happened to me, but it hasn't registered on my conscience enough that I can recall right now.
You have not been spooked by the same servant on the same roll, but you have gotten got by Fion while rolling for 2 other limited Lancers, I think?
Yeah, no, I got Fion. I got for by Fion with Bryn and who was the other Lancer? I'm trying to think.
I got my Fion during the rush times. I don't know. Yeah. Somebody can go look in the back catalog.
I'm trying to fucking think, and I can't remember. I know it was another limited Lancer I was rolling for. One was Bryn, and I can't remember the other one. Heck!
Are you sure it
Was it
wasn't
Lan-
Aresh? Have there been any other big limited Lancers you've been
It might have been Lancer Artoria, maybe.
That could be also another one. That's a read-up.
No. Skahawk I got on a ticket. I never re-rolled on the Skahawk banner. I don't know.
Anyway.
And we're gonna move on.
Yeah, we can't
The
have
next
too
one
much,
comes-
we can't have too much time left, so.
This next one comes from Kasika of Kisinu Kungabumbun, who says, I've wanted to ask this for a while, but figured it would be spoilers. However, with the Lantern of Chaldea having been shown on the FGONA stream, I shall not ask the question. How does the Lantern work lore-wise? What limiters does the throne put on servants? Do we have enough info yet to know? Also, I hope y'all's turkey dells went well.
I love how you're like, I don't want to ask because of spoilers, and I'm like, well, good job, because there are none. Can I find a website that actually reasonably gives me a link to that item? Probably not, because the various FGO wikis are really weird about just looking shit up.
Honestly, well, let's see here. Let me see here, because I feel like we're just going to have to come up with an answer here for reasons.
Right, Chaldean Visionary Flames. The lore. The official NA lore. A lantern that can light the way to impossible miracles. It is said that it can exceed even the limits in place by the throne itself, but only at the observatory that oversees humanity. So basically, you can bond with your servants even more because you're at Chaldea. There you go.
Honestly, the way that it looks like it's some sort of fucking enhanced grail, honestly.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess it's probably, like, if you want me to go crazy, it's a Chaldea Tech recreation of the Holy Grail, but it builds bonds. It doesn't, like, give you, like, magical powers. It, like, increases your bond and stuff.
If
I'm gonna build Da Vinci more quantum computing bullshit so she can give you more Saint Courts. I don't know.
I'll build on top of that. It improves your bonds, but it basically improves the efficiency between you and the servant.
It lets you go even further beyond the Throne of Heroes, even though it's only bond points, so it just gives you more Saint Courts.
Again, I do wish there was more actual, like, maybe in-story relation to Ascension items and whatnot, aside from jokes.
Yeah, discussing about stuff. And I mean, Ascension items at least have a lore description, right?
Some of them are pretty metal.
But we've talked about this, is what I really fucking love is, as people have been saying for the past couple of weeks, I think, lately, that's been a big trending term, is Monsterpedia, enemy library, enemy codex.
Mm-hmm.
So to actually, like, figure out what the fuck some of these things... Because, like, in story, this is not a spoiler, but in story, Holmes talks about Soul Eaters doing a thing, and I'm like, what? Where can I get more of that? Where's this been all 3 years of this? You know?
I know it's in the name, but still.
Like, I could have used an actual explanation, because that's not even really, like, in that same conversation, again, completely unrelated, he name-checks Dead Apostles, and I was like, wait, what? I don't think the game has ever explained that one to me. Are you assuming I've read Tsukihime?
I told you it might need to be a fucking teach me.
Oh, I'm sure it... So, we've got one Teach Me left after the one this week, which would be Homunculus. I think at the new year I'm going to write some new ones. We're probably going to put Dead Apostles on there.
Yeah, I figured. Well, the Hydra Vodka came from LB1.
Yes, we talked about how Hydra, like, that's another thing. Like, that was explained a little bit in the story chapter. They talked about how those creatures do actually have organs which ferment alcohol.
Yeah.
And, like, in general, everything from Lost But 1, they're like, oh, these are, like, magical demonic beasts which are super adapted to the cold.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, some of that stuff is explained. And there's a decent amount about, like, Jotuns, right? Well, Dallas, let's just say that I need to see see how much more that comes up in Lost Belt 3 before I need to figure out how much I need to explain. And we'll leave it at that for the people who are not done yet, which includes me, and also Lucky, who you should be more afraid of. That's just a general statement in life.
Like I said, I saw the word, so I'm all like, yes, I can now make a better case to Omega.
I mean, Omega's trying not to telegraph too much, because he knows things, but at the same time, he's definitely been thinking, probably after this one, we're going to have to talk about that, but stuff. We're not at the full stuff point. I think, did we say how far along we are?
We didn't say how far.
Okay.
Actually, we're at the same area. Wasn't like section 9?
Section 9, yeah. I think you actually started. I haven't started section 9 yet, but we have verified we're on basically the same point.
Yeah.
Which is about halfway through, I believe.
Good job, us.
Yay. It's shorter. I know some people are done already. I had to stop and write notes today. Anyway, yeah, sorry. We're probably blowing up our time.
I will pause it for a moment.
Well, I mean, I don't know, because we answered the lore question. I don't think we got too much more there.
Yeah, no. Also, I will say the meme is dead. I now have a level 90 NP5 Artoria. It is done. Yay.
Oh no, Lucky. What will the people sass you about now?
Still have plenty of level 1.
Guys, is there a particular reason you've been saying Pog and Poggers a lot in chat? Like, I know it's existed for a long time. Is there a particular reason?
I think it's because there's been a recent meme about PogChamp.
Well, yeah, that's true. I do believe it was an anniversary.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure about that, Robin. I don't know if the facts back up your case. Anyway, let us actually answer some questions.
Yes. Alright, now I'll restart that timer. Whoop! Alright, this next one comes from a warlock who has raided the crypt. Wow. So by the time you guys read this, Lost Belt 3 will be out. So my question is for you guys today, what new servants are you guys looking forward to? This could be Lost Belt 3 specifically, or even the servants are coming out in the next month. Thanks guys, I must raid the crypt once more. Lucky's looking forward to a Consort U, and maybe getting himself a Quetz next month.
I have 505 quartz ready for this second banner.
Lucky has like 150 and a credit card.
I really don't have a credit card right now.
I shouldn't have a credit card, but Lucky's life is...
I appreciate that they sent me this, but it was just another thing I had to check out. PlayStation did send me an email letting me know that in a month I have to pay them $60 for PlayStation Plus again, and I was like, no, okay, that's fair. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me about that. Well ahead of time, PlayStation.
Actually, if you buy now, I think they probably have like a sale for Black Friday or something.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. They usually have sales. I don't know if it's worth bothering yet. I gotta look at my finances. I need to put more money in my wallet. Anyway, but yes,
Lucky has 150 cards and a credit card, but he shouldn't, because Lucky is just made out of irresponsible financial choices and life choices.
And that's why you should super chat our time.
I usually get a little super chat. Anyway, let's see here. So yeah, Consort U, and with the Christmas event next month, there should be a Cats raid up. I forgot about that, so unfortunately I'm gonna have to throw down a little bit on that. I probably won't go apeshit, because I said, then right after that we're starting the new year, and it is Soul's Fire is burning hot all night long.
Yeah, it's a danger zone in that year.
Danger zone. But I'm gonna tell you right now, if I was to get a Mothman, I would not be upset. His character is making me keck, and I hope it stays like that. I will also say that his character in Lost Belt honestly terrifies me. Sorry, I'm looking at patron chat, and I'm like, Dallas, why? So we're gonna move on. This next one comes from a priest trying his hand at world bending, only to get crushed by walls of text. That's what world bending is. A lot of typing.
It is 25% off. Sorry, I'm still thinking about that PS Plus deal. It is 25% off, but that's money right now when my bank account is at its weakest on account of the PlayStation 5.
Want me to spot you?
No, I could buy it. I'm just wondering, do I care? It's $15 off. Do I care about the $15 a month from now?
I mean...
Because I got a couple pre-orders for the early...
I am about to say, Cyberpunk, month. I saw Cyberpunk's official trailer. It made me spicy. Well, not spicy. Spicy in the good way, I should say.
Yeah, no. Like, I don't want to accidentally fall through on any pre-orders. I'll suck it up. I'm an adult. We get paid at the start of the month.
Good job, us. Anyway, so this guy says, hi-ho, Omega and Lucky. I recently had a discussion on YouTube with someone about how the Fate series might give people that aren't researching what they see in Fate false information. For example, that hysterical Nero wasn't poisoned as a child by his mother, which made him go mad when he no longer received an antidote from his mother once she died. While there are theories he was suffering from lead poisoning, they have nothing to do with his mother. Too long didn't read. Do you think that some people take theories or made up stuff from fate more seriously than actual history? Greetings from Switzerland, and I wish you a good day. So I'm gonna I have a spicy take on this, but I feel like Omega has a spicier one just ready. So go for it.
So I was gonna say, are people idiots? Yes, some people are dumb.
Yeah, no.
That's just all life, though. People think that about history no matter what you do, because people are sometimes dumb, so it's not fate's fault.
It's not
I don't think anybody... I know some people like to throw stones at shit because it's popular. Was that this week or last? Somebody was asking about the fate gender bending trend. Unfortunately, if it's this week, I don't think we're going to get to it, because time and space. Unless we find it soon. But, no, like... Just because fate is big and you feel like you can throw rocks at them because they make, millions of yen every year, it doesn't mean that they're the sole proprietors of this shit, right?
Historical inaccuracies have been uncovered one after another.
Specifically, I've talked about this with Nero. Hey,
burning down Rome.
Well, yeah, Nero, the fiddle was not invented, so fuck you, one. But two, everybody who talked about how crazy Nero was were not alive, or at least weren't reading and writing and paying attention to fucking political theory at the time Nero was actually ruling, and we can say with some evidence, the Senate fucking hated Nero for reasons. But there wasn't a lot of contemporary commentary to actually figure out how bad Nero was. Unfortunately, Nero did probably feed some Christians to the lion, which... because they became the dominant culture and Christ-washed everything, they're a little mad about, for understandable reasons.
I will say this, remember, history is written by the victors or the survivors.
Yeah, and listen, I don't really want to throw too big of bones with the Catholic Church at all times, my own thoughts on organized religion aside, but from a historical and mythological perspective, Christianization sucks.
Also, remember that mythology and whatnot, when it gets down to it, is just a bunch of fan fiction written about other cultures.
So, I get the concern, but at no point has fate touted itself as, other than the same way every fucking urban fantasy series for baby children and college kids has, as the real history. When you read that on a book cover, that's a fucking lie. That's supposed to make you think it's cool and read it. And I do read it every time, because I'm a sucker. But, yeah, I don't know. This is just one of those things where, while yes, some people do have problems telling fiction from reality, but that's not fate's problem. It's like asking me, do I think video games make people violent? No. Do video games make people historical dumbasses? No. Your lack of a desire to know more does. There's a lot of stuff.
Lucky has a saying, it's not wrong to be ignorant. It is wrong to stay ignorant, though.
Do I need to... Gosh, I think I need to do a little something for a rash. He's not blowing up all these guys all the time.
Oh no.
I got 2 caster hands left with 200 HP. That's no good. Anyway, yeah.
Anyway, we move on. Thank you very much. Also, I want to say, we're not trying to blast you, but we do have some spicy takes about people like that. Anyway.
Well, and also, they didn't say what side of this discussion they were on, so they just want to ask us, and there's our opinions.
Yep. So, this next one comes from Kilian King, who says, I have no idea if it make the cutoff point. You made it. And if it does, neat. Having Tuesday off for Thanksgiving is really throwing me off. Otherwise, hope you have a great Thanksgiving next week, and I hope you can come to have a great question. Right now, I'm drawing a blank. Congratulations! Your fapping about made it in.
You've done it.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations.
Omedeto. Alright, well, let's move on.
This next one comes from a masked man offering strange bargains. Question. Dear Lucky and Omega, FGO seems to treat the pseudo-singularities like their redheaded stepchild. Did you call it the redheaded stepchild?
I did say that earlier about Epic Affirmed it, yes. And I do notice when people post mailbags, we don't really pre-read them that much, so... just to show you how much people think that.
Yeah. Like their redheaded stepchild with never making required to complete it and such. Heck, other than servants from there showing up in later events, it'd be reasonable for some to make the mistake of thinking they're non-canon, at least until Sion mentioned what she did when summoning the captain. My question is, do you know why FGO seems to hate on its own story so much, or is it just because they are in the game equivalent of the anime filler arc? Lucky's gonna definitely say the latter.
I think there's 3 points here. Number 1, EORs were a lot of beta testing for difficulty mechanics, right? Trying out a lot of new mechanisms and game stuff.
Right,
True names, everything. Like, it was an anime filler arc, yes, number one. It was meant to literally buy time before the real story came back. I guess Type Moon really likes that. That's basically the same thing as Extella Link, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a filler story to buy time and also test out new tech. So that's what Epic of Remnant were. So that's number one. But number two, because of that, some of those are fucking hard.
Yeah.
And I don't think before Lost Belt 1 started, especially since Salem was only like a month before?
Yeah.
Well, no, like 2 months before Lost Belt 1 actually started, right? It was a little bit, but still, it was really close. I don't think they wanted to make it so that you had to be caught up on all of those before you could move into the next story. They were always marked as kind of a non-linear thing, right? So, because of that, FGO often has this problem where they're like, well, shit, we don't know what to do with story spoilers. Like, take Imaginary Scramble, for instance. To play it, you only had to clear Lost Belt 1. But the story mentioned concepts up to Lost Belt 4. Similarly, the upcoming Lost Belt 5.5 event will reference Shimosa, clearly, but it won't require it to clear it because it already requires you to clear Lost Belt 5 Part 2, which is a lot more work. So, I think it's just they don't want to stack together these requirements to let people play shit, basically.
Yeah.
Because the third thing is, while obviously, especially considering how important some of those were, like, as our first experience with foreigners, conceptually, Salem is probably important. I don't know how much the actual story elements will be important. And it's not like they forgot BB exists, right? From Seraph, which was technically an EOR.
Honestly, if I'm going to be real, I feel like Hokusai's Trial Quest was a better intro to foreigners than
It
Salem
probably was, but that was also probably the other thing they were going for. We're like, well, shit. Like, there was a lot of time compression, right, in Epic of Remnant.
Yeah.
But so the thing I'm going to say is, well, I don't think they're necessarily upset about it. Like, hey, guess what? Shimosa, fundamentally important for the ongoing story. Gee, who could have guessed? Oh, wait, it was me. And like we said, Sion actually fucking brings back up Phantom Spirit Fusion. Like, she actually looked into Shinjuku and was like, you made this? I made this. You summoned this? No, I summoned this. But for the most part, other than the first couple chapters of FGO, I would argue the Epic of Remnants are probably the most controversial stories of FGO. Because they're later, after all the good shit, and they suffer from shortcomings we brought up a lot in that year, which is just, holy shit, they had to crank out 5, because CCC does count, but they had to crank out 5 fucking story chapters in 1 year, while also writing the first bits of story for the next story. So, gosh, a lot of those could really have used another editing pass, guys. Even Shimosa, like, a lot of people have problems with Shimosa because it's kind of lengthy and verbose, and, like, I can see that. I like what Shimosa talks about. I could see that probably if they had enough time, they would have probably given another editing pass and pared it down. Maybe they would have, not gone all the way with, 7 evil spirits. Like, they would have found a way to get through that even faster.
Mm-hmm.
And so on. Agartha has some good concepts, but really meanders back and forth between what it's actually about, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like Shinjuku a lot, but some people don't because it's got its own themes kind of when it plays on, like, urban fantasy mysteries, right?
Yeah.
And we've talked at length. Salem is very experimental, and I don't like all of what it does, but I admire a lot of the attempts. So it's like,
they tried.
Yeah, is weird. Yeah, so a lot of people were like not keen on them. So I could see why FGO might want to be like, oh, well, these aren't popular. We don't necessarily want to the audience, like, force them to think about that thing they don't like, right? Which is why they usually make efforts to reintroduce those characters, et cetera, et cetera. Move on. Like, Musashi got her own trial quest before she was in Shimosa and keeps showing up, etc. So, yeah, I don't know. I think the filler arc comparison is probably the most direct. Like, it literally was a time filler, but also there's a couple other things where, like, FGO doesn't necessarily want to overtly require you to have to complete those.
Actually, now I think about it, a lot of EOR characters actually make side appearances. We see Moriarty constantly.
Mm-hmm.
We see...
Well, yeah, because I think some of the characters are especially quite popular.
Yeah, we see Yan King actually a fair amount too. Scheherazade likes to make cameos on a semi-regular basis.
They brought her back for like, honestly, I think a lot of those story cameos are because maybe people aren't playing Epic of Remnants, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're like, we really like these characters, we're gonna keep bringing them back. But even then, they have to do weird shit, like Mysterious Professor M.
Yeah.
Mysterious Math Professor. Before, at some point, they just fucking give up and be like, he's Professor Moriarty, nerds. Fuck
Yeah,
it.
fucking Pinth shows up. Like, Pinth and fucking,
Oh, yeah, Amazon as CEO.
Yeah, no,
Gets your own
it's
event
like-
later.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, no, like, I definitely feel like they don't want to have people to go through the House of the Emperor Remnants when they're not necessarily well received, and especially if they're coming directly out of part 1, might not be the best equipped.
Yes. Like, think of Epic of Remnant also as story challenge quests, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're very weird. They have very specific rules for a lot of them. And they're great for getting extra bits, like they have all those bond bonuses and stuff.
Mhm.
But it's still kind of weird and stuff.
Weird.
That said, hey, your question was answered. They're not non-canon, and the next FGO event, which is labeled Lost Belt 5.5, will directly reference Shimosa. Just they're not requiring you to complete Shimosa because, like I said, there's a much larger story requirement you got to get through, which I think is the more important thing. That they're like, hey, you don't have to go out of your way and beat Shimosa, which is also hard. You just have to catch up on all the story. Where a lot of people have said that both parts of Lost Belt 5 are hard. So and they say Lost Belt 3 is hard, etc., etc. Lucky and I don't think have gotten to any of the particularly spicy boss fights in Lost Belt 3 yet, so we don't have any commentary about that yet.
Let's see. I'm already starting to feel it. Like, with the two big boys, and then fighting the one big boy and the one small boy, I'm all like, this is starting to hurt a little bit.
There's a certain large lad who does make an early appearance, and you're a little bit like, okay, game, all right, okay, hold on, what's with this large berserker? I'm gonna need a painter, a little girl, and a space cop. Literally every foreigner in the game, and I have them. I immediately reminded myself, oh, my image X6 is only level 70. I should definitely fix that one. That's a thing I should work on.
Also tell us your values are very black and white in a lot of things, so meh.
Oh, that's right. I'm in Ascension. That's why the game is telling me weird stuff. It was like, because I just ascended Tristan for the second time, and they were like, yo, dog, you don't have any other classes you can ascend right now.
Oh, no.
And I was like, wait, what? Oh, I'm in Ascension. Derp.
Derp.
I want to be in servant leveling up.
Alright, so... Alright, thank you very much for your question. We move next on to Devlerton Servant, who says, is there anything you hope to see in Lost Belts do differently in the future? I always thought it'd be cool if servants would temporarily join the team for a couple Lost Belts. Like if Vikabron survived LB1 and died saving us in LB2, or something like that.
Well, I mean, I think that's kind of like Singularities. I don't think the way the physics work.
I don't know, like, does I know we have Neza Hound, but doesn't Neza also show up in fucking... Wait, no. What does she show up in? Does she show up in...
But she was unsummoned
No.
because of Lost Belt stuff, and then resummoned at New Chaldea.
Yeah, no, but isn't she in LB4 as well?
Eh.
I could have swore she's in the CM.
Don't ask me future questions, Lucky. I haven't fixed my lenses on them. I got like 6 months to not think about that one. We can dig up this... Well, you can dig up the CM. I'd have to like mute it and stuff.
Yeah,
I don't actually know, though. I know she's in the Lost Belt 3 CM. And I mean, for Nezha, that would make sense, because, like I said, she's been summoned at Chaldea. She is permanently resummoned, and physically travels with us. Whereas, the, whatchamacallit, like, even though we summoned them from our Chaldea library, I'm gonna guess, assuming they even live through the events, because you never know with story, Mordred, Spartacus, and, Jinkei probably have to go back because they were summoned in the Lost Belt through, like, a remote connection. So, yeah, like, I think that's just some of the...
Alright, so I'm gonna share the screen that made me ask this question, that made me remember this, because...
Yeah, go for it. But yeah, so, like, I could see... Yeah, that's right, there's, like, good Nezha, evil Nezha.
Yeah, so I might be assuming, like, I could be making an assumption, but that could just be our Nezha being all like, coming with you.
Well, and like I said, actual Nezha is physically with us. She was summoned at Chaldea and rode in the Shadow Border there.
Yeah,
well, yeah, but there's like 2 in there, Dallas. You put some English on that I already trimmed out. But anyway, that is different. That's like how Da Vinci is always with us, right?
Yeah.
Because she's been summoned by Chaldea, or technically, as Goldorf says at one point, the Lolita has been summoned by herself.
Borderline Lolita.
Yes. That's a great conversation. And also is a time that I believe, I've talked about this before, I switch back and forth between the genders just for funs. That is one of the times I'm pretty sure you get different dialogue, because he does actually call out that there are 3 ladies in the tent, whereas I bet, Lucky, you probably saw him talk about 2. Because you play male all the time. Anyway, questions.
But, so... I don't know. Like, again, like, I don't know the future stuff. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. There's... I don't mind persistence of characters, but also I do like that, like, it's Lost Belt 3. Well, who did we summon? We got Spartacus, Jinkei, and Mordred. Great. Who did we run into in Lost Belt 1? Oh, it was Adelante, Alter, and Billy, and Beowulf. Good old Billy.
It's like... I think it's an interesting way of doing characters. You have your core ensemble cast, and then you have your fucking, your team of the week, I guess I would call it.
Yeah. Alright. I'm going to stop farming dailies. I did 2 full AP runs, but my phone needs battery now, so I will cease that for a while. Alright. Because I want to go play more story.
Yep. So we will keep moving on. We're almost out of time.
Yep.
So thank you very much. This next one comes from that one guy who exists. Hey, look at you, Mega. Hope you were doing well, and I've had no time thinking questions due to work and stories, so I simply wish you both a good week and bless your future roles. P.S. I just found about the JP Kentucky buffs, and I am happy. I'm glad you're happy. I'm happy. Hope your roles will be doing you good in the future as well. This next one...
Those Kentucky buffs are spicy.
Mm-hmm. This next one comes from a man hoping his background check will get him a job. Well, if you haven't done anything crazy or illegal, you should be fine.
That's usually how that works.
Yep. And they say, Dear Lucky Omega, first off, happy belated Thanksgiving. Happy
That's
feast
a lie.
day to
That
you.
wasn't belated when you wrote this. How dare you?
Now, on Marlon, my question for you this week is simple. From what do we know of Team Amy, who would you like to get to know better go bar hopping with? Fucking Pepe. I fucking love Pepe. So much.
Pepe's great. I would love to hang out with him. I love that... This is an early bit, so it's not a spoiler, but I love that MASH has a fucking flashback to those guys. Flashback. And it describes everybody's characters perfectly. So, on the one hand, we don't want to hang out with Beryl for reasons, but he does seem like he knows how to go bar hopping. That said, I don't know if I'd really go bar hopping with anybody.
I wouldn't.
Pepe is great, though.
I wouldn't want to go, necessarily bar hopping with Chaldea or David, but I wouldn't mind being in the same bar with them as maybe being able to listen to whatever the hell they're talking about.
Soft jazz plays, like the jazz club from P5 Royal, and they're just nursing drinks.
Mm-hmm.
Arguing about mythology, MASH says.
Yeah. Oh, that's the timer. So I probably wouldn't be able to get in that conversation, but I'd like to listen to that.
Mm-hmm.
I said Kodak would probably be the kid that I drag around drinking with.
Right, because in that flashback he's described as Beryl is telling him to chug, basically.
Yeah.
Drink, my friend. Beryl's weird.
And honestly,
I like how everybody has depth to their character. Beryl is definitely one of the ones on the surface who is one of the weirdest, because on the one hand, he's super friendly. He's real chummy, especially with Kadak and the others, but also, the dude is a fucking monster. He talks about, man, my fucking murder boner will be satiated, my lost belt's gonna explode. How can I kill people? For fun!
Yeah, with Ophelia and Akita, well, honestly, I don't think they give me the time of day to go to a bar with me.
Ophelia would be like, bars are not sleeping, drinking, eating, or mage crafting.
No.
And Akita would just throw a book at you. She has no time for your pathetic pursuits.
I'm busy thinking about things and keeping up a guarded exterior.
Also, yes, sadly, we didn't get to a lot of people's questions. Because you wrote so many fucking questions. We apologize. If you want to come back and hit us up, go ahead and, fire it up.
16.
Let us know.
16. So we got through over half, but yeah, it looks like we got through 21 of 37 questions.
Yeah, but 37's a lot for us.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, yeah, I think that means that it's time to roll into our free talk, whereas, well, we've been doing it a lot. Let's talk about Lost Belt 3 first impressions.
Well, actually, first, can we take a break real quick?
Yeah, we can take a break. I was thinking about just being but first a break. Yeah, let's hear from our sponsors. All right, and we're back.
Yeah.
No, actually, speaking of sponsorships, go to our Teespring store in the video description. Use the code CYBERWEEK until December 1st for 10% off everything. All the cool kids are doing it. Yes, I did actually. We are actually running a Black Friday / Cyber Monday sale because Teespring really liked to yell at me about that. So we're doing it. Anyway, let us do free talk.
Yes.
Lost Belt 3, first impressions. Obviously, this is not our big 5 million hours deep dive because we're not done yet.
No.
But we can get some first impressions out of the way. And I think I mentioned this earlier. I'm actually kind of curious. I've seen some of your reaction, but also you did stream for 5 hours, so.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not present because I was also playing the story on my own. And it is a little hard to watch Lucky read story and also read story myself. But so I wouldn't say I was concerned, but I was very interested in how this Lost Belt would come across.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know some things about the story, because I don't really read ahead, but I'm not afraid of looking at future stuff for the sake of contextualizing the show, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think I mentioned this earlier on mic, but it's interesting to see how information comes out always, right? Because fights are obvious. You open up a story, you play the game, even if you can't read moon runes, you're like, now I am fighting Pretty Sword Man. Okay, got it. We fight him. Oh, I've fighting him like 4 times. Okay, cool. Great. But complex stuff requires longer-term translation before it disseminates, right? Yes. People have to actually play the story, read the story, translate the story for people who speak English. So the information about Lost Belt 3 when it came out in JP came out in different order than it appears in the story itself. Which I'm actually glad for because we can say this in our intro spoiler, first impressions level. They definitely hit up some of the things that seem weird or wrong about this Lost Belt immediately, right? Like, you roll into a field full of wheat, and Da Vinci is like, these people are like living in the Stone Age, and you're like, that's weird. Mm-hmm. And then there's a giant floating moth cocoon robot man thing, right? That's pretty fast too. And you're like, well, this is weird. I appreciate how different this one is, because early on, like, Mash goes to a lot of levels to be like, the air's so clean, right?
Mm-hmm. Actually, they even foreshadowed that a little bit earlier, like when they were talking about how Lost Belt's really different, and maybe they won't find one that's like, in the middle of a giant fight for fucking survival.
Right. And even when we start by scanning it, it's like, it's not super cold outside, there's no pollution, like high levels or anything like that, like, we do the sensors and you're just fucking huge fields of wheat. Now, I will say, Da Vinci does point out that at our, there's a couple of exact latitudes and longitudes given in this story early on. Mm-hmm. We're supposed to be in the middle of a major city with, like, multiple millions of people in it. We are not. We are in the middle of a fucking wheat field. Mm-hmm. But there's some very interesting setup stuff, right? Like, we start off with a way, and honestly, we go into some stuff real fast. Like, I was actually a little surprised. I was like, I thought that might have been a little... Like, I thought that would be like a secret we had to uncover. No, because, much as are typical for Lost Belts, there are a lot of cutaways to what is the other guy doing? Mm-hmm. Which is great, by the way. I love those scenes because Qin Wang has a great fucking theme.
I was like, why is there electronica in my fucking China? I'm like,
We just start belting out the fucking cyberpunk
it is
jams, and you're like, whoa. Spoilers, by the way, guys. His NP theme is an orchestral version of that. It's pretty great. So, like, no, they introduce us very early on to the cast of characters. We meet Konosuke's new outfit. Mm-hmm. It has a fox boob window, as Lucky likes to say.
It is a fox boob window.
Basically, it's Wadarko, so, At some point, Nasu really just stopped holding her back.
Well, no, he's still holding a leash, because otherwise they'd all have tan lines everywhere.
Possibly true, but I don't know. I don't know if Kona Chihuahua has enough time to tan. Best running gag, by the way. Shinshi Wong can't be bothered to say your name correctly.
For reasons.
We get a very staunch early introduction to Akuta. Mm-hmm. And that's a fun one, because they really did a really great thing of, like, showing her actually being almost completely different than how she was perceived, right?
Yeah.
Like, up to this point, everybody's been like, she is a misanthrope, she doesn't like to talk to people, she just reads books, she's lazy, she doesn't want to do any of this stuff. But when you meet her in the Lost Belt and she realizes we're here, she comes out swinging.
Oh, yeah. It's like she doesn't want us to be here.
For some reason. We won't talk about that yet. I think that's a little too far in if people are only, like, super early.
Mhm.
But Lucky and I have already both seen a scene that says so much. But yeah, and there are still some bits of that stuff they talk about that shine through. Like, she is actually, like, really patient, but also non-committal.
Mhm.
Like, you fight Prince Lanling, like, twice really fast in the story.
Yeah.
I think it's like Pip 2 or like Node 2 or 3, like chapter 2 or 3 or something.
Mhm.
I think it is actually 3, yeah. Because
You fight, like, demonic beasts, like, once.
yes, well, first of all, you fight some helpless farmers who are so bad at this, even though they are sabers, and the story only lets you play as Mash and Nesha, you still win.
Yes.
It's not actually a challenge. I appreciate the symmetry there.
Mhm.
But yeah, so she shows up very early on for 2 back-to-back fights, and it's nothing conclusive happens. You aren't strong enough to beat her, but also you're not weak enough that she can just bump you off. So she's like, "Hold on, I'm gonna go retreat and do something different."
And apparently she's real good. She favors defensive tactics.
Yeah, Konatskaya in a very disingenuous conversation, with many scary faces. Konatskaya is good at that. Tomovich is good at the scary face. Which we can just call her Vich now.
Yeah.
Since several points explicitly that they call her by her full name, Tomovich Konatskaya. Which I kind of feel like as a character we give up on too fast. Because we're just throwing it out there. Like we missed the conversation we had about, hold on a second.
Well,
But anyway.
I don't know. Maybe we actually have to reach Koyaskaya and talk to her about it.
But, like, she has this whole conversation with Akuto. She's like, "No, listen, I'm just taking responsibility. I was just trying to do Beryl a solid and kill her, and it didn't work, so I figured I'd come here and let you know about my mistake, about this poison I used. Cusco's poison, the poison for Cusco, the poison specifically meant to lead Chaldea right here." And Hinako is just like, her sprite doesn't do it, but you can feel the nose pinching, just like, "Man, you are so glad I don't want to look like a dingus in front of the Holy Emperor of super awesome majesty." Otherwise, I get the feeling at some point, like, Akuto would have just picked up Tomovich and, like, thrown her off. Just, like, because, I don't know what exactly the details are, but it looks almost like the throne room scenes take place in, like, fucking Cerebro out of X-Men, right? And there's a catwalk with railings, and I'm just thinking, at some point, Hinako's just gotta be thinking about just giving Vich just a shove, just a little push. Just a little whoop. See what happens. They don't get along well, is what we're saying.
Yep.
So that leads a really interesting dynamic. And
honestly,
a lot of interesting stuff happens. There's this mysterious old man. The captain of the Royal Guard. He's great. He makes a great foil. But I think we'll talk fully about the themes of this Lost Belt later, but this is a very interesting one with the way they talk about it, introduce concepts, and where our 3 musketeers are Mordred, Jinke for obvious reasons, and Spartacus. And man, for Spartacus, this is a great story chapter so far.
Oh God, I feel like Spartacus has just been powered up by the power of oppression in the air, and he's gone past insanity into rationality, but still insane.
Yeah, and I think Goldorf even mentioned that. That's basically his madness enhancement. Like,
yeah,
when he's thinking about rebellion and stuff, I'm up, just think about oppression and stuff. Like, he is very on the ball, and like, well, obviously, as you would expect from a slave rebellion leader, like, and a gladiator, Spartacus has deep thoughts. Usually he's too busy yelling about oppression and tyranny to think them, or at least verbalize them, but no, he has some deep thoughts.
And actually, I really like the characterization that he's giving him, especially when, like, talking about, like a lot of the characters in the moment, like, we're like, when Park was talking about, like, who are we to say that we are actually the proper human history? It's like, isn't it up to, like, the people to fight for the rest of them? I'm all like, yeah, no, I can see that, but at the same time.
Well, and he says this in response to something to Goldorf, which I love. He calls Goldorf an oppressor who has never known oppression. I don't know, yes. He's a mage, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But specifically, he's like, tiny master child. You're not an oppressor. You know what's up.
Mhm.
Which is very true. If anything, we are very oppressed most of the time. Thanks, cosmic entities fucking with my timeline. Trying to take a dump on my history. Ooh, no, that's later. I don't know. There's a... speaking of cosmic entities, there's a direct comparison later, but that's like in Section 8. I don't know if we want to bring that up yet. We might save that for our full spoiler dive when we talk on the whole about the themes of this Lost Belt.
Mhm.
But yeah, we get a lot of characterization. I honestly feel like Mordred's characterization is kind of relaxed, but I'm okay with that because she had big roles in London and Camelot. Mordred just seems like Mordred is mostly there just to once we have a legit hitter on our team, right?
Mhm.
Like, Jinkei and Spartacus are good. They're very niche servants. Mordred is a Mordred. She's a knight of the round.
I feel like we also needed Mordred for the kind of laid back kind of person.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know what not necessarily comic relief, but
Well, yeah, Mordred isn't taking this very seriously because while she is the Knight of Rebellion, this isn't at the cross section of her non-existent madness enhancement, right? Like, this isn't about Arthur, so
No.
she's not crazy. And this has been discussed. Mordred's not a complete doofus. She does like to throw her sword at things first and ask questions later, but Mordred can be a competent administrator.
I said, yeah.
And tactician, so she gives us a certain amount of balance between the two, because Jinkei is cold focus, but also, as befitting the historical Jinkei's kind of a big brain. Like, the historical Jinkei was not only trained as a soldier, like a fighter, a martial artist, but also was a poet, like an artist. Which you do see.
Yes.
Like, yeah, so, like, while there is some personal opposition there between them, Jinkei is definitely, like, way more nuanced than other people. Spartacus is not really new. Like, he does have some nuance in his arguments, but for the most part, when we're talking about oppression, he is like, yeah, I'm gonna get that oppression. I'm gonna get it. Oh, I'm feeling it. Like, you know, he's ready to pop off. The moment he sees some oppression, he is going to start wrecking face.
Mhm.
You know?
Yes.
Possibly for the other side if it comes to that. Like, he's pretty upfront that as a berserker, he is not 100% on our side all the time.
Well, I think the way he puts it is that he will fight for proper human history, but if it comes to the point that this course of history is better for the people, then he will bend the knee.
Yeah, like if they are more free.
Yes.
But also, Spartacus has strong opinions on how free these people are.
Mhm.
As do most people in this Lost Belt. I think they're not... Konoskaya, for instance, is not shy. Because I will say, I have an early criticism, which, especially considering how short this Lost Belt is, I feel like there's some padding. Like, I get the logic of why we bring up that Konoskaya is basically importing these creatures, and I do love the little sprite details. Lucky, I don't know if you noticed, because I don't think
the
you called it out on
NFF?
stream. Yeah, the NFF logo, though.
Yeah.
They are literally branded with Vitch's logo. Her new Fox Force or whatever. Who,
Well, honestly, I think the little bit of padding is fine because definitely during that, Slay the Beast quest, we definitely got to see.
well, yeah, there's some characterization, but also it suffers from the classic FGO. Shit, you have to beat up mobs. Here's these old mobs because the new mobs don't make sense yet. Fight.
Well, honestly, I think that also probably saved them sometimes. Like, we don't have to design all new mobs. Awesome.
True. From a writing standpoint, I was gonna say there's not really a reason for a while to fight a whole. As said. There's not a lot of, like, major overarching conflict, constant struggle for survival in this Lost Belt, as we can see from the fact that
they could have thrown a bunch of boars at us.
That's true. They do mention that wild boars are still a problem. But we pull up in a giant wheat field and it's like, and like, again, two or three clicks in, you're in there and the locals are just like, oh well, I guess you're not here to eat our livers, so whatever.
Whatever.
Like, they immediately relax because they don't have to deal with conflict, really, so they don't go crazy.
What is conflict? What is art? What is culture?
Yeah, you saw this early. They're like, we're trying to do our standard issue questions. We're like, hey, who's in charge? Oh, just a really lengthy title. And they're like, great. And then we're like, hey, do you know what era it is? And they're like, era?
Year.
What year is
Calendar.
it? They're like, well, I'm 25, so we start working the fields when we're 5, and I'm like, what? Dallas, I don't think you're allowed to talk about Jinkei just because you love Mothman so much. Having actually done some of this research for other stuff. But anyway, we can we can figure out stuff anyway. You're stating facts in a way that emphasizes your point, not the objective truth. I still have my book on logical fallacies when I took a class on logic and debate in college, Dallas. I know how this works.
I can remember all the logical fallacies. There's a lot of them, like 14 of them. Anyway. Yeah, but besides them,
by the way, I'm speaking of this. I do like how they handle the spear carriers, basically the extras, where they have there is generic farmer sprite, there's generic lady farmer sprite, there's the supervisor who has a fancy hat, and then there's the kid, who I don't even know if this kid has a fucking name.
He's just boy.
Did we say his name?
He's just boy.
Yeah, he's just boy. Boy.
Insert dad of boy here joke. Spartacus and boy.
So yeah, it's there's some weirdness here. Like, obviously, these people, they're fighting us with sticks. They live in Stone Age huts. They're not super advanced, but fucking the capital of Xiangyang greets us by shooting a fucking rocket at us, right? Like, shit's weird here. And I like that weirdness is obvious immediately. It reminds me a lot of how they handled Lost Belt 2, right? Where you're like, man, we're in the wood. I mean, Lost Belt 2 was a little bit more dramatic because Sigurd Surtur was way more big dick.
Let me just toss the shadow border. Here we go.
Throw the shadow border, cutting it up, beating up Sherlock, who is still injured as a result. Like, he recovers by the time we get further into the story, so you can actually use him as a support a couple of times. But, like, literally for the first fight, he's like, I can't fight these humans. I'm still recovering. Mash has a great line, by the way. Then we'll settle this as gentlemen do. Oh, you're such a nerd, Mash. Pat. But yeah, like, this place is wood. And I can't wait to talk more about it, but we gotta unpack everything.
Yeah, no, I definitely have, I have thoughts and feelings, like on the subject of, freedom versus security, what is peace, what is not, what is
Yeah, because there are we're at the midpoint, basically, so there's the half-act twist, right? We're not talking about that yet, but we have thoughts and feelings, I'm sure.
Yes.
Did my air conditioner just kick on? It did. It's cold in here. My fucking window's open and the AC's kicking on. God damn it, Florida. You're fucking with me.
Fucking with you.
I'll have to close my window later. It's probably because it's still humid outside or something. It's like November, and the temperature as usual cannot make up its fucking mind. But yeah, so, very interesting story stuff to go through. Gonna have a lot to talk about, very interesting characters. And, got some furthermore actions. Well, and also, I'll say this, though, Dallas. While we can say about their motives and, like, being an assassin for hire and all that, I do feel like, given the thematic calls between these two characters, there is also thematic conflict there. Like, that might not be the historical reason, but for storytelling, it makes a great conflict that, Qin Shi Huang is like, his creation is basically devoid of culture, whereas Jinkei is, walking around talking about drinking. You don't drink alone when you drink with the moon. You can toast the moon in your shadow. Like, so there are some interesting parallels. That said, this is the thing we talked about with history. Like, obviously, you can be like, well, Fate is upselling the. What are they? There's a specific phrase that was translated about Jinkei, like something about like a true gallant of history, or like history chivalry or something.
I don't know. It's just romanticizing historical figures.
Yeah, no, they're playing it up because everybody's heroic spirits. Like, there's a certain like aspect of like Jinkei is ultimately doing the right thing even for the wrong reasons. It's just also history goes a different way kind of thing.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what Jinkei does on Try 2 because they are excited. But yeah, no, there's a lot of story detail. I do like that Neja is a recurring story element for reasons, but she's there, she hangs out, she talks to us. And like I said, we'll really dig into like where this history went different, what the themes are of all the different characters. We'll do our usual review of cryptors and stuff. But just the high level is okay. And so far, while some of the fights have been a little bit scary, we have not hit those fights that I know that are the quote-unquote hard ones yet. But there are some spicy fights. There's some big numbers on screen.
Like, I was right now. I think I had to do this on stream. When I had to fight the two large boys, I think I failed once.
I did also. I completely misconstrued what that fight would be.
Yep.
And I had to switch to single targets.
Yeah, and that's what I did. I brought out Uncle Vlad and two art buffers. And
that's a way to do it.
The fight that I had to actually spend the sweat cards is when you fight Zhang Yu and the Prince of Lanling together.
Yep.
I almost made it because you only have to get to both their break bars, but
you don't actually. You only have to beat Zhang Yu.
I mean, Zhang Yu. That's what I meant. That boy crits. He crits real hard. He was critting foreigners. I'm like, why is half their health gone?
He's a big lad. He's a big chungus. I think I got lucky in that fight, and I was very judicious and proactive with my applications of hard defenses.
I probably could have just end the fight and just probably hard bursted him down, but I was like, I don't want to have to go through all this again. Reset. Yeah, because
that's the thing. You only have to break one bar, so they give him the equivalent of a whole boss fight's worth of HP in that one bar.
Yeah.
I think the first time you fight him naked with nobody else going in, he's still got 600k rather. He's a big chungus. Oh well, and he's a big chungus in real life too. Even in the sprite, I was like, man, you are big. I know you're big, but seeing you on screen for myself, big. Oh, actually, that reminds me, I didn't mention that. I don't know if that's out in Japan, but Japan's done a version update. For certain phones, you can remove the blue bars. You can go back to full screen.
Oh, neat.
So interesting. But yeah, so there's some interesting fights. The several fights you have with Landling are very weird. I think I talked about this beforehand because I was talking about boss fights in the pregame. There are a lot of servants in this Lost Belt in general who have non-offensive NPs. Those are very weird to fight as the other guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when Landling pops his NP, it's inconvenient, but it doesn't mean your team dies. So you got a lot of workout cut out for you. And yeah, so it's really interesting. We will be glad to move on in and talk fully about all that stuff next week probably, because like I said, it's not very long. I mean, I don't know if he's a pushover. He's got a lot of defenses, including hard defenses. He soaks up a lot of hits, especially with Hinaka supporting. But yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I think that's all of our first impressions. You got anything else you want to say? Just initial impressions, no spoilers?
No spoilers. I guess I do want to shout out a couple of funny lines. We got the Civ reference of Gandhi dropping atomic nukes. Yep. That was funny. Shout out to Holmes screaming about drugs. That made me keck.
Yeah, I mean, that's not what he wants it for, but it certainly is funny in the moment.
In the moment, he was like, "Oh, why don't you let me see that?" I'm just like, "Holmes." He's like, "No, this is for science."
Yeah, and then quieter Holmes is like, "No, guys, I'm a detective. I'm gonna detect some shit."
Are you gonna detect this shit by fucking trying it? I don't know,
Gosh, I hope not.
Well, I don't know. Actually, reading about the benediction, I'm just like, Anyway. Oh, let's see here. Any other lines? No, I'm not gonna. That's technically a spoiler, so I won't mention that.
Yeah, there's a couple scenes we don't want to talk about in detail.
Yeah. I will say though, even though he hasn't actually made a quote unquote appearance, actually, Mothman is starting to slowly grow on me.
Yeah, he speaks a lot.
He speaks a lot, and I like the cut of his jib, but at the same time, they've done a great job using the royal we and stuff and exemplifying him as kind of a big deal. And while he is pretty smart and pretty strong, he's also not perfect. Mm-hmm. He really, I honestly think he does super undercut both us and the Cryptors side. He's like, nah, listen, I don't fucking care about you guys. I got my own shit to deal with, and completely ignores us, basically, for a while. Like I said, he conquered the world once.
Yeah, but at the same time, he really, I know he wants there to be a demonstration early of what heroic spirits can do. I don't think he really does understand, though. Because I think it's been so long, because this is a thing that happens early, that we can't, I don't think it's a spoiler to mention this. Da Vinci tries to call up the Throne of Heroes locally. It does not work. Mm-hmm. She cannot actually connect from this Lost Belt. Which I should, by the way, I don't want to, if anybody wants to, say, oh, does that mean the throne doesn't exist? No, that's not how that works. The throne is outside of time. It just means that between this world line, there is no connection to the throne.
They actually talk about why that connection is in
yes,
there.
they explore this later. Because there's a lot of thematic stuff we haven't quite hit yet, or are just starting to hit, that I think we'll be more clear about that. But there's some interesting things about heroic. Da Vinci throws out another theory that our definition of heroic spirit doesn't matches this world's, which could also be true based on some other stuff we see lately. It's just that by the time that stuff comes up, we've moved past it. Da Vinci does another hack. Da Vinci, by the way, great in this. I feel like we get a lot of Da Vinci energy, but I don't know why, but maybe it's because we have the backup base and we finally did all our repairs and shit, but I feel like Da Vinci is, like, way more active than just staying back and flying the boat, basically.
Idle Da Vinci is great.
Yes, our plan for defusing the farmers, as Goldorf says, who's our angel face negotiator? Hard cut, smash cut to Da Vinci just being adorable. Like, yeah, no, it's great. There's a lot of good Da Vinci action in this. Very sassy. Interesting to see that when we launched, Sion did not come with us.
Mm-hmm.
So she stays back at base to do supporting stuff. But yeah, so there's some great lines. I saw you shouted it out when Vitch immediately gets jealous when Hinako reveals her servant.
Mm-hmm.
Just in general, I want to say music's great. It's always great, but it's really great in this. Like, there's a lot of thematic Chinese instruments in here. Lan Ling has an NP theme.
I really do like it too. I think it's NP in general, honestly.
Yeah, it's a great. I just first of all, I just love the idea of the Noble Phantasm, which is just like, oh yeah, you want to see my face, huh? Boom, my face is truly cursed, and then just kita, so shiny. Just, I'm blind.
Yeah, I got to
but
see
there's a lot of
that,
really great thematics. Like we've already talked about, Shin Wong has a leitmotif that is great. It's a real banger.
Also, shout out to I don't know if you got that. Shout out to Da Vinci yelling about cyberpunk.
Yes, I did catch that. Apparently, Da Vinci double-checked the enemy's surveillance capabilities by just yelling at him a lot. Cussing up a storm. We did get our Mystic Codes buffed a little.
Mm-hmm. Stealth.
That's another thing, yeah. Also, yeah, by the way, the fact that I know that it's Lelouch's voice actor, several people shout, "Yes, Your Imperial Majesty." I'm like, haha, I get it. Because that was a big English thing in Code Geass. Yes, Your Highness. Yes, Your Majesty. I just need somebody to, shout all hail, and then the circle is complete. That, or I need Captain of the Guard to, like, explode in a storm of honor.
That might happen.
Somebody got commanded to die in the weird opening flashback sequence, which I don't think we should. I'll give you some theory crafting.
Some theory crafting. I have thoughts. I have feelings. I know things from the future, but I shall not comment about them.
Also, that does remind me, though. I feel like you talk a lot of shit on Holmes, Lucky. I know.
I do.
I do feel like you judge him on the not wanting to share all his theories. You judge him a little too harshly because you have said yourself you do the same thing. You don't necessarily like to share with people what your theory crafting is because you don't want to muddy the waters before you know. That's really what Holmes is. In a classical detective sense, that's what Holmes is after, where he's like, I don't actually know for sure. I don't want to say anything until we've got hard evidence because that's not how we detect things.
Yes, but it's the fact that he's taking all the detective by himself and not sharing what information he usually has or conjectures on it that bugs me.
They're just conjectures, Lucky. They're not facts yet. That said, I think the nature of this Lost Belt means that everybody is a little more share happy. Yeah, he does like to sass a little bit, but there's definitely moments where he's like, guys, I'm not actually sure yet. I think we need to go poke something before I can, like, start building theories. Like, I have thoughts, but I don't know. I'm very similar also myself, where I'm just like...
But yeah, also, I would also like to point out that if someone else tries to maybe hide a theory, he'll just immediately out them.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it was Da Vinci, so...
So?
Well, she was just being cheeky. She was just going to be like, oh, I was going to not say it. And he's like, yeah, okay, but we need info right now.
Yeah, I know, and that's the same thing. Sometimes, even if it's not a complete information, sometimes you need to share the information you have, even if it's conjecture.
Conjecture is not information.
Yes, but conjecture is usually a symbol from what information you have into a bigger picture. Even if it's not completely correct, usually it can be used to, when you share it, you can maybe, brain together.
Well, that's what. Well, yeah, I know Sherlock is usually right. That is the curse of being the world's most famous detective. His conjectures are usually right, but he doesn't know that. In story, he can't know that until he actually gets evidence. Also, though, I will say this is also another thing that's definitely he was mostly out of commission in too. This is definitely a thing that happens a lot in this Lost Belt. He is definitely back to asking us like leading questions. Basically, he's like, "Hey, how do you feel about this? What do you think's going on here?"
That's good.
And he definitely, he's like, yeah, and he's like, I'm glad you caught that, because I'm also, like, that's, I think, a little bit more of what you're talking about, where the sharing information, I think, honestly, Holmes probably has a lot more wild theories and possibilities running through his head that aren't helpful at all, And people are just like sometimes I feel like Da Vinci as a character is like, Holmes, solve it! And he's just like, go, this is not how that works. I got like 5 different theories. Do you want me to list them all? Maybe by the time I list all 5 of my ideas, we'll be dead. You know? Yes, no, he's definitely realized that he can be incapacitated. So there's a little more back and forth. I think there's some character building there. And actually, he gets to detect shit in this Lost Belt too, which is great.
I do appreciate when he does ask leading questions because it makes you think of things in the moment, like on like the Lost Belt, like what is freedom? What is suffering?
Or later, like the first time you meet those people, he pulls you back inside and he's like, "Hey, what do you think about those guys?" And your 2 options are basically different flavors of like they're very relaxed. It's weird.
Yeah,
we just beat them up like 5 seconds ago, and they're cool. And he's like, "Yeah, I know. That's weird, isn't it? We should probably have some deep thoughts about why that's weird." Anyway, we're gonna go learn about Vodka Hydra because he's also excited about that. Not as much as Jinkei though. She's like, drinks, consume. But okay, I'm going to save this thumbnail.
Yeah, but no. Like, I do feel like Holmes is better, but I still think Holmes is being Holmes. I guess. Well,
yeah, and there's a certain characterizationness to that, where it's like, I mean, he's Sherlock Holmes, though. He's gotta have a little bit of sass.
Yeah.
And I usually think that's directed back and forth with Da Vinci, because Da Vinci's another character who is...
Brain,
but also not always telling us everything all the time. And it's not because of I don't think that's because of a detection thing where, like, with Holmes at least, most of the time he's like, I don't know anything yet. I don't want to tell you because I could be wrong and telling you would, like, shape your opinions. You need to, like, form your own thoughts and theories before we just jump in. Yeah, Da Vinci is super artistical, like literally she's using something Sion gave her which only has one use and she's just like, we'll just use the whatchamacallit cell. We'll just do the thing. It's fine. I fixed it. I fix.
Well, again, I think it's... Well, with things like that, a resource that is never, like, a resource
No, I'm just saying, like, her explanation of it is just, you don't care, whatever. Like, literally, it's not until later when Goldorf brings it back up that she's like, oh, yeah, I did tell you I had trouble. I didn't explain that at all. Here's what I meant. Like, Da Vinci is definitely the skips details. Well, I mean, with Surtur, he didn't have a chance to really say anything before he got beat up. He was like, there's something weird here. I'll tell you about it later. Oh no, I've been stabbed. And cursed. I've been curse-stabbed. Shit. Cursed. Like, I think we all could tell that something weird was going on, but Holmes was like, hold on, we gotta get up close and, like, see if we can figure out, and he's like, oh shit, this is a thing. Oh shit, I'm being stabbed now. Like, that was a deliberate pull in that moment for Holmes to have that 5 seconds of, like, shit, this is going on, isn't it? But before he could say anything, you're already, like, almost dead. Boom. Wrestling. It's a great gif.
It is a great gif.
But yeah, so I think, after I save that thumbnail to work on later, we should hop into our next segment, because we are at over 2 hours, almost 2.5 hours.
Oh, well, a couple things I want to mention here.
Oh, okay, you had some more stuff, alright.
No, not lots of hours later, but you're going to be talking a lot. I want to get this on before I get it. So, over in JP, it's been announced that they will be selling, they're going to be starting taking the pre-orders for the Heaven's Feel 3 Blu-ray. It's slated to come out next spring. I think they said it was like March or something. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me. Who knows? Also, it's been reported that here in the US, during its opening weekend, that Heaven's Feel 3 was able to reach number 10 in box office sales. Which, considering the times we are on and the situation that it's in, I find a bit impressive. Yes. Hopefully that has that will put more anime movies into the collective consciousness of marketing and showings.
Mm-hmm. And it will encourage, like, Aniplex and the others to keep doing the things and, like, remember that this is profitable, because
yes, in
a time when shit is fucked, it actually, like, had a good showing, which is saying something.
Yes. But other than that, I think that's it for me.
Okay, well, actually, this is a good question, because I have my notes, but they're not in the notes doc. What do you think we should start with? Should we do Teach Me, or should we do Fanservant Friday?
Let's do Teach Me. Let's do Teach Me.
Alright, let's do Teach Me. So, overwhelmingly voted on by patrons. Join our Patreon at 5 and up. We're about to have a new month rollover, so consider it. It's time for my end of the month show. So, Teach Me was voted on to be talk about what's the difference between holy swords and demonic swords, if any. And this got a big one. I'm not quite sure why, but it did, so we'll get in there. So, we're going to preface this one with, shocker, I did not find a Type Moon dictionary where anybody has explicitly defined a holy sword or demonic sword, despite the fact that if you say, like, pop up in the Type Moon wiki and just type in holy sword or demonic sword, you'll find lots of swords which are holy and or demonic. It's a frequently occurring term. But, like, there's no standalone wiki entry for it in any of the wikis or anything like that, right? And it's not really, like, actually, I think, really super well defined. Like, there is a note somewhere that I think we mentioned when we talked about noble phantasms that holy and demonic swords are supposed to be the most common, but that still doesn't define what they are. Just they're a recurring type, right?
Yeah.
This means that, so, as a result, this teaching will probably be slightly shorter than usual. It's still about 2 pages of notes, but not excessively long. And will involve a lot more speculation and deduction than normal. So, preface this. This is me doing research and also development. But that's the fun part, guys. Okay, so, before we try to figure out what holy sword or demonic sword can mean in an incredibly overcomplicated way besides just light type cool sword and dark type cool sword, we need to establish a foundation really quick. We need to build on some Nasuverse foundations so we can figure out why the narrative feels like it could just throw these terms out without actually defining them. Like, why would we imply that these are a thing and not define them? Other than, of course, it just sounds cool. So, first, I'm going to define conceptual weapon really quick. So, conceptual weapon, capital letters, is a recurring Nasuverse element, which basically just means a weapon or item that has metaphysical properties in addition to physically one. So not only can you just hit somebody with a sword, but the sword is also conceptually stronger against dragonkind, for instance, as an example. This includes a lot of noble phantasms, which have additional effects such as Gaybold always strikes the heart, but also includes various mystic codes and mage tools like Kiritsugu's origin bullets. They have the concept of severing and binding. This is also not universally every noble phantasm for some reason. It's weird. But yeah, conceptual weapons are a thing. Now, conceptual weapons are important for conceptual enemies. This includes natural forces or laws, delusions or illusions, and generally spiritual elements or entities which embody all this stuff I just said, such as spirits, demons, etc. Since a lot of these things are beyond the physical, to harm them or face them, you need to do it in a non-physical way, right? Pretty simple. Mm-hmm. If you're fighting something that is a concept, you cannot just hit it with your fist. You need a conceptual fist. Ooh, spooky. The platonic ideal of a fist. So yeah, is the thing. So that's our first high level. Now, next, let's talk about demons and the demonic tag and stuff. This adjective. As usual, this is a really broad subject matter that is only somewhat unhelpful. And basically there's a lot of localization here. Like, honestly, in some of my research for originals, primary sources, right? The thing demon, Ma or Majin, has been translated a lot of different ways. Like, some places are like fiends, mystics, etc. But basically, the word used here, you see it a lot in anime and manga and stuff, Ma. Mm-hmm. It really means more mystical or magical, right?
Yeah.
Like something supernatural. It can be sinister, but mostly it's just something supernatural, something outside of the realm of humans, or at least normal humans. Majin is just mystical, magical people. For some reason, every localizer uses demon for this. Thanks, Christianization. And I'll admit, in English, we don't really have a good generic word for magic guy.
No, we really don't.
But still, like, there's a little bit of weird connotations with demonic stuff. The important thing is that demonic stuff is mystical, and not necessarily from the world of humans, but they are not quote-unquote holy, which is basically, as far as I can tell, the holy adjective is meant in this context of something that is an extension of the natural order or divine order of the world. So, we've talked about divine spirits before, we've talked about nature spirits on the world and stuff. Holy things are extensions of that. They are part of the rules and laws of existence. Demons are not, because demons, as an archetype, come in 2 flavors. These are creatures which fall inside the natural order, but because of how powerful they are, they can distort the laws of nature, or things which, just by existing, distort nature's laws. Great. I hope that definition helped you. It was of great help to me. So note that by both of those above definitions, that's a lot of phantasmal species, hence why some of them are known as demonic beasts, or mystical beasts. But also, humans and gods can become demonic through their own actions or perceptions. Basically, through your own acts of karma, a human can become a demon, because you're subverting the laws of nature, basically. You're outside the sphere. Daemons, with an A, Akuma, as we should possibly say for more clarity, and other higher life forms are entities which do not necessarily distort nature. They basically come entirely from outside our frame of reference or nature. Like, some kinds of daemons, Akuma, are formed by, like, human thoughts, but they're still formed in such a way that they are outside of the natural world. Like, a human thinks about a thing, and it becomes a demon, and it does demon stuff. I don't actually know, again, if we're ever going to get into trying to figure out what the heck an Akuma is. And there's a little bit of overlap. Like, actually, I should check out what the literal verbiage on the demon god pillars is. Is it Akuma?
Probably isn't.
Yeah, because I don't think they are actually supposed to be, like, demons. But there are some concepts that apply to the Akuma rank creatures, which is shared by the demon god pillars. Yeah. Namely, this is completely off topic, but demons get more powerful if they have strictly defined names and powers. Which also, we do know that the demon gods have discrete units. They are actually given individual designations, but they come together as one thing, Beast One, Getia. Anyway, we're moving on. We're not here to talk about that. So, we're here to talk about how, as a result of all this stuff we said, demons, humans, and heroes form basically a weapon triangle. This concept goes back to Hollow Ataraxia, but I'm reasonably sure Da Vinci lore dumped us this at one point on us in FGO somewhere, so I'm pretty sure I read this in FGO, because I haven't read Hollow Ataraxia, but it is actually from Hollow Ataraxia, most originally. So, basically, in this axis, this triangle, right, demons or monsters, another good way to think of them, are evil. That is, they're antagonistic to humans. And humans cannot defeat them alone. So, demons beat humans. But monsters are destined to fall before heroes. Heroes beat demons. However, humans regulate or enforce heroes. Humans beat heroes. By basically, you remove heroes from the cycle. You have them not be heroes anymore in a good or bad way, or controlling their behavior. So, this is again a tangent, but I think actually thinking about this axis of humans, heroes, demons, or monsters, this is very fucking interesting in the context of Lost Belts, right?
Yeah.
There's some very interesting ideas here, especially with the idea that humans beat or control heroes. But you need heroes to defeat monsters. It's wild. And I think, like I said, I'd say the short version is in the rock, paper, scissors, humans beat heroes. That's not actually it. Not that heroes literally get beat up by humans, though that does happen sometimes. It's more that just, like, because heroes are created by the need of humans, humans can also make them go away. You can make them go away by being like, oh, that Heracles guy? Well, he's a god now. He's not a hero anymore. He's a god. Boom. Or being like, Medusa, you've killed a shitload of humans. You are now a demon. Basically, humans can decide whether heroes fade into obscurity, they go on to something greater, or they stop being heroes.
They basically enforce the collective perception onto heroes.
Yes. So, heroes are restrained by humans.
Yeah.
So, now that we've covered both of those things, we've talked about what the heck the language means by saying demon all the time, and we've talked about conceptual weapons, we can draw some conclusions about holy swords and demonic swords. Both of these things are likely to show up as noble phantasms, which are just crystallization of mystery. We have absolutely talked about what a noble phantasm is before. Or they can be mystic codes as well. And they are likely to be conceptual weapons. They don't have to be, but they are likely to be. Not every noble phantasm is a conceptual weapon, and vice versa. But they fall in different parts of the triangle. So holy swords are the weapons of heroes. They are designed to overcome monsters and great threats of humanity. Plenty of them will be conceptual weapons which can defeat conceptual enemies in addition to being really cool for monster slaying. So, the strongest holy sword is Excalibur, the holy sword of the planet, the sword of promised victory. It is the crystallization of human beings' desire to win despite all hope otherwise, right? Mm-hmm. It is the thing that defeats the enemy because humans have the concept that we will win. The day will be saved. Just think back to Extella. It's relevant.
Yes.
The Holy Sword of the planet defeats the White Titan, which was previously kicking the shit out of humans, beasts, and gods. So, Excalibur is a holy sword. It is the strongest holy sword. It's the most famous. It defeats bad stuff. Now, demonic swords are swords which slay humans or oppose heroes. Weapons we can't defeat on our own and which can warp the natural order. An example. The strongest demonic sword is supposed to be Gram. And now you may be surprised about that, but no. So, Gram is a magic sword described as being of glory and ruin. It was broken and reforged. It's tied to a lot of bad fates. It was part of a lot of revenge stories. A lot of shenanigans happened with this thing, which was supposed to just pick the king, but like, crazy shit. Like, I think it was it Sigurd's granddad or dad tried to stab Odin, and Odin broke it, and then they made it again, which is why it's like all weird now, because it's got the quality of being broken and reforged. Like we said earlier, it has the quality of being a dragon slayer. It's got a huge destructive power. Like, it is a destructive weapon. It is not, a sword of healing or helping. It is a sword of fucking shit up, is the best way to put it. And it's been used to fight a lot of humans. Before he uses it to slay the dragon, Sigurd uses it in his war of revenge for his dead dad. It's also associated with Odin under the epithet, he who causes disasters. That's what the Bulwark in Bulwark Gram is. It's an epithet of Odin as he who causes disasters. So, yes, excuse me, talking a lot, getting a little dry. So yes, Gram is the sword of a hero, a heroic spirit. It is a sword of bad juju. This is not a humble sword of, punching things, right? Like,
right.
It's not a sword meant to save people. It is a sword meant to, as I said earlier, fuck shit up. Now, much like how humans, heroes, and gods can fall to become demons through their own actions, holy and demonic swords can change places. Balmung is supposed to be a holy sword, but it has its origins in Gram, which is a demonic sword, so its aspect changes on its wielder. Kriemhild, Siegfried's waifu, used it for revenge, so it's been used to kill a lot of humans. It's a sword of badness as well as goodness. Because Siegfried is such a sweet baby child boy, it's usually a holy sword, but you could see it in different aspects. Similarly, Aroundite is another holy sword. It's a sword of the lake. It's supposed to be good juju. It's made by the fairies and all that stuff. But when Lancelot used it to kill his fellow knights and oppose the king, it takes on a demonic aspect. You see this with Berserker Lancelot's Aroundite. It's very different than his normal Aroundite, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, in that form, it is a demonic sword. Also a dragon slayer. But that might just be so that he can use it to beat up Artoria. I don't know. Now, here's the thing. Excalibur Morgan is fucking weird. Even when filled with an evil light, the sword is described as unchanged. Basically, I think Excalibur is a fixed point. Its definition can't be changed. It will always be the sword of promised victory. So even if it's fueled by evil, it is still a super holy sword. It's just maybe not holy to you. And basically, that's what I got on what seems to be what we're going for holy swords and demonic swords. Demonic swords are usually swords which kill people. They're not meant for saving people or defeating monsters. They're meant for fucking shit up. Whereas, yes, Artoria can certainly use Excalibur to, wipe out a billion dudes, but that's not really what it's for. So, a final bit of theory crafting here. If heroes beat demons, shouldn't holy swords always beat demonic swords, you ask me? Well, so, I think in this case we should remember that swords, or noble phantasms in general, read swords as noble phantasms, because Nasu loves swords just as much as I do, so they're the most common, I guess. Even though I'm pretty sure Saber's not a very diverse pool. Nasu just really likes swords. Anyway, noble phantasms are just tools and weapons. Or at least, when they embody physical tools. Like, some of them are weird and conceptual, but for the most part, a noble phantasm is just the crystallization of a legend around a hero, and in this case, swords are embodying objects. While we conceptually have the triangle, right? This is an archetypal thing. It's basically the myth cycle. A monster shows up, it beats up the local humans, a hero must rise and defeat the monster, and then, for whatever reason after, the humans then figure out what to do with that hero. Whether it's, well, we must kill him because he's too cool, or I guess he's the shiniest now, he goes on to do something else. Basically, you go through the cycle. This does not mean that literally every hero can beat every monster and every human can regulate every hero, right?
Right.
We see this plenty of times in Fate. Shiro cannot boop heroes on the snoot because he is a human. He can act as a counterweight to certain specific heroic spirits because of certain things he's got going on with him. And similarly, he can fight back against some monsters. We do this ourselves. We actually pick fights with monsters. That said, I'm pretty sure if you're a human who beats a demon, you become a hero, but that's a different conversation entirely.
Yeah. I think that has to go with the whole thing with perception and whatnot.
Right, yeah. Supposedly, definitionally, monsters and demons are something that humans cannot hope to defeat. It's very interesting, by the way, this analogy was used in Hollow Ataraxia, Lucky. I think Medusa is talking about herself. I don't know the exact context, but that sounds about right. But she's talking about how to defeat a monster, it doesn't matter if you send 1,000 soldiers. You need a hero to do it. And I immediately had some interesting thoughts about Tama no Mai's legend, actually, where, the Emperor sends a gajillion dudes, and none of it really matters.
Oh yeah, no, it took two heroes.
Yes. So, yeah, that's the kind of the mundane thing, but also, there are plenty of stories where a regular average Joe guy actually beats up a monster and becomes the hero. I don't know how that flows into the myth thing. But I just don't want people to go, wait a minute, if heroes can beat monsters, why can't we just beat up Gorgon in Babylonia? Well, it's because it's not a guaranteed thing. It's just the cycle of nature,
Also, I want to say, usually in most hero stories, there is usually some sort of providence, boon, or something that said person gets in order to do it. I think very few hero stories start off with so I just picked up a rock and beat a monster. Usually
yes.
there is a impetus for a hero.
Yeah, there's a journey or something. Yeah, anyway, so, don't take this as, some greater metatextual, literal shit. This is not a literal Fire Emblem weapon triangle. It's, again, it's the mythical cycle. I make the joke because it forms a triangle, but it's not literally true. It's just part of the heroic cycle. But basically, what I'm saying is, outside of the mythic cycle triangle, I also believe, like I said, swords are just swords, even if they're holy or demonic. So you go outside this triangle and you think about this, humans can beat up humans, and heroes can beat up heroes, and we know from Last Ball 3, for instance, demons or monsters can beat up demons or monsters, right? Demonic swords and holy swords can clash because it's not about their inherent weaknesses or strengths, it's about their wielders. So, usually you see these in the hands of heroes. Heroes can fight heroes. It's like neutral class advantage. There's no archetypal thing that should happen to make one come out on top of the other. Similarly, it's the same with people, right? Humans can kill humans just fine. It's just that we are not supposed to be able to conceptually fight monsters without heroes. It's a whole thing. So, if Saber of Black and Saber of Red fight, because Clarence another sword that's been given a demonic aspect because of what it's used for. It should be a sword of peace, which should probably be on the holy side, but it's not. But when those two fight, they're much more evenly matched than Balmung has superiority because it's a holy sword. It's because Mordred and Siegfried are both heroes. They are both on the same tier level. It is not part of them to overcome one or the other necessarily. But also, you don't get a free pass. Siegfried still had to bust his ass to kill a dragon. Just because he became a hero, he had the potential to do it. It's a whole thing. So basically, that's what I got. The concept has to be pretty simple, otherwise somebody would have made an in-character essay defining them, right?
Right.
If this was beasts, which are actually a whole big, deep-reaching thing, Gilgamesh would have had to sit us down and explain, alright, so holy swords, kid. But nobody's had to do that, because I think they're supposed to be pretty simple. There's no, big, deep, long thing here. It's mostly just a rule of cool thing because Nasu likes capital A adjectives. But I think that the verbiage ties into some greater concepts of the universe. Because we keep referring to these things as holy swords or demonic swords, we can kind of see, okay, we can look at this. There's a pattern here. I can see why some swords are called demonic. Some swords are called holy, right? And some swords flip-flop. You should think, oh, well, does that mean, because Mordred had a sword that became demonic, does that mean that she should instantly lose to Arctoria? No, that turned into a mutual kill thing ultimately, because they're both heroes. And this is also not getting into capital A, capital H anti-heroes or little letter anti-heroes, because there's a lot of other complex concepts in there we've talked about before with heroic spirits and stuff. Just generally, I think that's the definition. I think that a holy sword is a sword meant to defeat monsters, and a demonic sword is a sword that, if not meant to defeat humans, is a sword that is really fucking good at killing people. Which is another, honestly, that's a common anime fantasy thing, right? Where, like, you know, life-saving versus killing kind of a thing. That's a big martial arts concept as well. Life-saving or life-preserving fist versus killing fist.
One is usually harder to pull off than the other.
Yeah, and like I said, I tried to search for, like, somebody to give me some hard and fast facts. Could not find any good citations about that. So I had to kind of piecemeal an idea. And like I said, I think it's pretty simple. You know? It's supposed to be pretty plain-spoken and obvious. Otherwise, like I said, Nas would have had to sit us down and explain it.
Yeah.
But he hasn't, so, yeah, that's that one. Alright. So I think, we should jump into Fanservant Friday, but first, I'm gonna pause a sec, and, go drink a lot of water.
Alright, it's your show.
Alright. Okay. So, that was Teach Me. Let's introduce a new pilot concept, Fanservant Fridays, which people said they wanted. So, as voted on a poll by patrons, and tie broken by Lucky, today we're going to talk about Kaguya Hime, Lady Kaguya. This is going to be a little looser, because this is like a first experiment. I have notes, but they're in a separate doc, so I'm not sure 100% on how the format for this will work, but I figure we'll start, you know, throwing some shit out there and see where we get it, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So, first, let's begin, I think, with a recap. So, Kaguya Hime, Lady Kaguya, comes from the Tale of the Bamboo Cutter, most famously.
Yes.
It's a classical piece of Japanese literature. I think one of their most classic, right? Like, it's short of mythological text, it's a pretty old and pretty oft-repeated tale.
Yeah, no, it's pretty old.
So I'm gonna give you the short version, just so we're not here forever. But basically, there's a bamboo cutter. He cuts bamboo for a living. He tries to cut down a piece of bamboo. He finds a tiny baby child in it. Great. He's older. He doesn't have kids. He takes it back to his wife. They raise the daughter as their own. While they're doing that, he keeps cutting down bamboo. He finds gold nuggets in there. So they're quite well off. And the baby child, the girl, grows up very fast. Her name is Kaguya, so she's the titular character. And she grows up very fast and very pretty. And everybody thinks she's cool. She's great. A lot of people are interested in her, marrying her, because she's super smart and pretty and the greatest. And also very sad all the time. Steers off into the middle distance. Very brooding. It's great. But there's basically two key parts of this legend that most people are fixated on. First is the suitors and the 5 treasures.
Yes.
So a lot of dudes are like, please marry me, Princess Kaguya. You're super cool. And she's like, nah, brah. But as you might expect from fantastical, feudal Japanese princes and lordlings, they're not easy to blow off. So she's like, okay, I will marry you if you find for me 5 treasures. Specifically, the stone bowl of the Buddha, a jeweled branch from Horai Island, which is fucking magical and fake, the robe of a fire rat, which I believe is supposed to be the constellation rat, a jewel from a dragon's neck, and a cowrie shell born from swallows. So, in case you couldn't tell, all of these are impossible.
Yes.
So,
listen, she really didn't want. She really didn't
she
want
was
to get
serious.
married.
She didn't want this shit. So these were all so impossible and hard that everybody gave up except for one guy who unfortunately died. He was trying to get the cowrie shells and he fell off a cliff and died. Rip. So this caused a little bit of a consternation. So the emperor rolls up and he's like, guys, I've heard you causing trouble about this girl, Kaguya Hime. And he goes to see her himself and he's like, man, she's hot. But the emperor's been drinking his respect women juice. So he's like, Kaguya Hime, you're great. I love you. I'm not going to make you marry me. I just want to hang out. And she's like, it's cool. We can be friends. But I must go soon. My planet needs me. And he's like, what? Basically, Kaguya explains she's from the fucking moon. Okay? She's from the moon. The versions of the story are unclear. She was sent there either as an exile, like as a punishment for something, or because there was some kind of weird moon war, and they had to put her somewhere safe. The gold that the bamboo cutter found was basically a stipend to raise her. Shout out to the moon people paying for that daycare. But basically, her time was coming close and she'd have to go back to the moon. And this is the second big beat, which is her leaving to go back. And the emperor is like, all right, Kaguya, I respect your wishes. Because she says, hey, I gotta go back to the moon. Everybody leave me alone. They're gonna come get me. It's gonna be fine. The Emperor says, "That's cool, great." He immediately turns around and is like, "Put my best men on it." So the Emperor tries to basically blockade in Kaguya and make sure the moon doesn't steal her away. This fails. Because moon people are great. They fucking fly down from the moon in a huge procession, blind all the guards, scoop up Kaguya, fly back. It is at this point that the Emperor reads a letter, which she left, which also he was left with the pills of immortality.
Mm-hmm.
Very important, very recurring theme. Because Kaguya was basically like, she explains the whole thing, and she's like, "Yo, you were super cool, but I had to go back to the moon. Here, if you want to be immortal, eat these pills." And the Emperor, solid broman that he is like, "No, if there's no Kaguya in this life, I don't want to live forever." And he gives the pills to one of his servants and says, "Go to the tallest mountain and burn these so that the smoke might reach the moon." And he goes to the tallest mountain, he burns them, and it becomes an immortal mountain, and that's Mount Fuji. Boom. So this is a legend with a lot of elements, including naming a major spiritual landmark. So obviously, this is where we find ourselves with the legend of a heroic spirit. So first, let's talk the class. Because this is actually a moment of debate.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
While I will say all of them are extra classes, there's a couple different classes that Kaguya could probably fall into. For purposes of this, I went with Foreigner, because at the time I was writing this profile, I was trying to design some more Foreigners to see what I could do with that. She is literally from the moon, right?
Well, honestly, like, for the longest time, the dark side of the moon was a big, spooky, ominous thing.
There are a lot of interesting connotations of the moon as a different place, as an other world. And one of the defining features of Foreigners, which is reflected in this profile, is their special skill existence outside the domain. Literally, how otherworldly are you? It's a little vague, but generally it's like, what is the level of your ability to not be from here?
Mm-hmm.
So I went with Foreigner. I think there are a couple of legit arguments. Because of her neutrality and her basically control over these mystical gifts of immortality and stuff, you could argue she could be a ruler. And also, again, because that thing of why she wasn't on the moon anymore, you could probably make a weird case for moon cancer, right? Like, if she was exiled for crimes against the moon, you could probably make a case there. I know some people are very sensitive about letting other characters be moon cancers.
That's fine. Kaguya Hima for Extella 2, and...
But like I said, this is a open-ended conceptual thing. And Nasu has actually written, I believe it's Tsuki no Sango, Coral of the Moon. It's not a direct retelling, but it's got elements of the Kaguya Hime myth in it. Like, it's not literally about Kaguya, but it's got elements. So we come to this point, where it's like, okay, we've picked our class. That kind of assigns some of the... Sorry, double checking my notes. That kind of assigns some of our passives. Got to have existence outside the domain. I decided lawful neutral for the alignment. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
She's not really good. She's not really evil. Because, if you want to talk about good, she definitely orchestrated that one guy to fall off a cliff.
Definitely didn't want to deal with these people.
Yes, but she's the princess and orderly, so we'll go lawful neutral. Like, she's not malicious, but also she's not out there doing a super heroic thing either. And so for stats, I was thinking about the core stats. These sometimes don't matter, but she's just, a magical princess lady, so I was like, we'll go moderate level, strength D, endurance D, not too strong, kind of caster-like, agility C, especially for some later stuff we'll talk about. But the high stats I thought that Kaguya would have would be MP, or magical energy, mana, A++, very high. She's got a lot of weird magic stuff. She's from the moon, and there's stuff on the moon. And you think to yourself, Omega, you're not talking about moon shit enough. I'm like, wait a second, I'll get there. There's some very interesting cross-contamination, basically, because of other Nazi-verse concepts I want to get to. But I figured I'd start kind of running down my list with the basic level stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, luck B, she seems pretty lucky. Not, like, supernaturally lucky, but not, like, awful. And I did do NPEX for reasons.
Oh, speaking of luck, she was found by a kindly bamboo cutter, met a cool emperor bro. And while the suitors weren't, the bestest, they weren't particularly...
Yeah, like,
jerks.
Not the luckiest. She may have gotten exiled. But she didn't have a bad lot in life either. By all accounts, she actually really enjoyed her time on Earth and wished she could stay, but the moon law said she can't. It's the international law of the moon. I don't know. So for class skills, existence outside the domain, I decided for like a D. I think that's about as much as like Voyager or MHX has. She's a foreigner mostly because she's literally from space and thus has weird space rules, but is not, like, she's not hooked up to a cosmic horror. At least in this form. I don't know. You could go some weird ways. That was the second Inuyasha movie where the real Kaguya-hime was, like, eaten by a yokai who was, like, super freaky. So you could take this freakier, but this is fairly normal.
Also, I would say, while the moon is mysterious, it's not the most mysterious.
No, I mean, it's right there.
Yeah.
We can look up and see it. So it's not... She is outside... She is literally from outside planet Earth, but not too outside. There's weirder shit out there.
Actually, I was looking this up earlier for a reason. The moon is about 260,000 miles from Earth. 60,000 miles. Excuse me.
Yes.
It's a trip.
And I decided to give her writing EX because spaceships, basically. Like,
yes.
And also, there are some interesting qualities and descriptions. There are some modern theorists who believe that the Kaguya-hime legend is basically an ancient UFO story because, remember, this ends with a procession of moon people flying down from the moon, in a great big collection. So there are actually some ideas of, like, is this like a prototype alien abduction? You know? So, obviously, this is another fun thing you can do with Fate, and you'll probably see this a lot if we do a few of these, fanservant things, like if this is popular. This means that human perception comes later, so I could absolutely see some people being like, yo dog, but UFOs from the moon! So she has a high level of writing because space stuff. There's a lot of interesting associations. So, yeah, we'll do this kind of like how I formatted these in my notes. I'm drawing a lot of these from my Quick Fate homebrew notes, with some added fluff and stuff. So we'll do Noble Phantasms at the end. So, personal skills. There's the Celestial Robe. This is one of those weird things where, like, much like how FGO does this, for the purposes of the homebrew, I try to give everybody 3 skills so they don't feel too limited. This could be a Noble Phantasm, but could also be recorded as a skill. It's not very strong. Basically, this is a recurring theme, but also shows up in some versions of the Kaguya-hime myth. How she gets back to the moon is the moon people give her a celestial robe, which allows her to fly. So she can fly up with them back to the moon and play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. I like Bayonetta, guys. Anyway, so basically, this is probably a mystic code. Like, I don't know if it really crystallizes a legend, so it's a little low power. I was thinking similar to how the Valkyries actually have their, like, signet mystic code, right? That's their flying wings. But also, sometimes those should be Noble Phantasms, so it's a gray area. But for purposes of... Definitely if this was being used in a game with rules, whether it's be FGO or, like I said, my own homebrew RPG, you'd probably want to keep it as a skill. It lets her fly and stuff. That's pretty expected. That's a conclusion of the legend. She has the robe that can fly. Also went with Golden Rule, Wealth and Body. This is a popular wombo combo. So, Kaguya was known to grow up rapidly into a beautiful young woman, famous throughout all of Japan. Golden Rule Body. Exceptionally beautiful. There were like 6 dudes after her. Actually, there were probably more dudes, but 6 of them were important. You know, the whole thing, right? But also, I talked about this. Bamboo Homie was rich. He kept cutting down bamboo trees and finding nuggets of gold.
Because of her.
Because of her and because of the moon people. So obviously, the moon tribe is loaded, right? So naturally, Golden Rule wealth. This is an ability that I believe it's mostly Cleo who shares. There might be a couple other, because there's a couple of variations on Golden Rule. But basically, this is my thought of like, okay, this is another great synergistic element. We can blend 2 Golden Rules together. Yes, she's very pretty, Golden Rule beauty, and like supernaturally so. This is a comment in the legend. She grows up fast and pretty. Not normal for a human baby. But also rich. She becomes partially so famous because the bamboo cutter keeps making so much money. Fat stacks. So, Golden Rule, Wealth and Body. Weird and interesting for a servant to be sure, but definitely got some properties. Now, here's the fun one. Here's the fun personal skill, guys. I gave her Philosopher's Stone A+, as in Paracelsus' skill. Now, you might think to yourself, Omega, what the fuck?
Is this the Pills of Mortality fucking,
Yes, but also, hey, you know what in Fate the Philosopher's Stone is described as? It's a photonic crystal. What is the moon cell made of? Photonic crystal. Yeah, so basically the Philosopher's Stone is made by refining elements of magecraft together to produce a hunk of photonic crystal, and basically it's a huge magecraft amplifier. So, Kaguya-hime is from the moon, where the moon cell is. The moon cell is a giant computer made of photonic crystals, which has reality warping powers. And she does possess the elixir of immortality. So I was like, wait a minute. This is a Fate character. This is a fan servant. I can put 2 and 2 together and make 3. Or 5 in that case, technically, since I made more than they were. So I gave her Philosopher's Stone rank A+. At A rank, Philosopher's Stones are described, because that's Paracelsus' rank. They can cure any disease and confer a type of temporary immortality. She has the ability to, or she had the ownership of an elixir of immortality, the Pills of Immortality. A very common recurring trope in East Asian cultures. Big to both the Chinese and the Japanese. May have come up in Lost Belt 3 already, right?
Yep.
But also, photonic crystals, moon. So, Philosopher's Stone. It let me in this case kind of be like, draw some interesting conclusions, call on some Nasu-verse deep lore, because that's always the fun part, right? Like, if you can't make some shit come together and do some references, what are you doing,
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can write history. We can do some fun stuff. And also, it actually makes sense. Yes, she would have the ability to bestow healing and limited immortality. That follows, and I can make it make sense in the greater context. So, I gave her 2 Noble Phantasms. And again, the Celestial Robe is kind of wiggly. There are some low-power Noble Phantasms, which are usually in FGO translated into skills, just because you need skill diversity. So the first is the 5 treasures.
Yep.
Not that I'm a big Toho guy, but there is a Kaguya in Toho, who is that Kaguya, and she owns the 5 treasures. And while I was trying to do some background research, the character from Toho version came up a lot into the 5 treasures, so I was like, actually, yeah, that's pretty funny, right? Like, the idea that, well, naturally Kaguya already possessed all the stuff. How else would she know it's impossible? Coincidentally, because there are 5 things, it also forms a basis of 5 elements. So, basically, she already owns the impossible items because they're strongly associated with her. That's how myths work. She can access their powers they have, and can also use them to focus, elemental magecraft. The stone bowl represents earth, the branch represents wood, the robe represents fire, the cowrie shell represents water, and the dragon's jewel represents metal. And all of them have individual properties, which I could go into or could not. I don't know. But basically just like, so she's got these 5 plot coupons. They mean she can wield elemental magecraft and have additional supplementary powers that kind of give her the diversity. Super fun stuff. But also, I think this is an important aspect of Noble Phantasms, is how they crystallize the legend, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, even more so than the 5 impossible items, what's the real part of this that is Kaguya's legend?
Returning to the moon? Oh, sorry.
Well, no, that's a separate Noble Phantasm.
I was figured.
The aspect of asking for them. And actually, I believe there is we've talked about this before, the, Fate School Life, that 4-coma. They had fan submissions, which were published. I did not go with the direct translation of this, but the subtitle of 5 treasures is Demand for Treasure. There was a fan servant Kaguya who was somebody submitted who just had as her Noble Phantasm, demands your treasures, basically. So in addition to, possessing the original 5 treasures and being able to use them, by invoking her Noble Phantasm, Kagehime can basically be like, hey, I want that. Make a request for an impossible treasure. Which, of course, is going to sucker in any heroic spirit worth their salt. Who can resist a good quest?
Yeah, I see that.
So it becomes a sort of compulsion or curse that if you accept the request, you are basically vulnerable to her, her commands, her efforts to control you. You're weakened because you are in the contract, basically, right?
Sounds like a charm.
Yeah, kind of a charm-like effect. You have a request is placed upon you, and you are like, you can deny it, but in that case, it's like, well, you're not doing what she wants, so what are you going to do? Mm-hmm. If you fail the request, well, you've failed her request, you got to pay her back. But if you actually succeed, because this is heroic spirits we're talking about, then it flips. She owes you a boon, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got a little bit of danger, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be careful about using it as a servant, because sometimes people will come back on you. Like, you could be like, hey, you, go slay a dragon, and that saber reveals, oh, actually, I'm Sigurd. That's really easy for me. Boom. Done. Well, shit. I fucked it up. So, the other thing, you did mention it, I called this one Lunar Embassy, Ascension to the Heavenly Sphere. The conclusion of Kaguya's legend. When it's time for her to go back to the moon, her entourage of the moon tribe descends from heaven in a palanquin to take her away. The Emperor sent guards to her home. They blinded them at a flash of light, and they left. So this means that as a legend, Kaguya can call on the moon men, basically, to come down and show up. I went a little bit extra with this, so for some reason the moon men are they're very technologically advanced and intelligent, and obviously coming from the moon, their weapons are better than simple Earth weapons. Again, because, like I said, there's a lot of scholarship and a lot of speculation about how this is basically a prototype alien story.
Yes.
Which, by the way, there are a few of in mythology. A lot of people, if you think about it, like cattle mutilation stories, crop circles and stuff, those are basically just modern fairy stories. Yeah. Like, that resembles a lot of the legends about the Chi and the fairy people in the British Isles fucking around causing problems. So they are flying because they have celestial robes. They have more advanced weapons. And also maybe her palanquin resembles a spaceship made of bamboo which fires beams or something. Because I really like Okami, alright?
I'm about to say, that's Okami right there. I feel that.
Yes, in Okami, if you don't know, Kaguya Hime shows up and she flies back to the moon in a bamboo rocket. Because Okami is very irreverent sometimes, or at the very least isn't afraid of being weird.
Like I say, Okami's weird, but it's never, off.
No.
It's like,
Okami is a retelling of many Japanese myth and legends by Japanese people, so they know what the fuck they're talking about, but also, they're not afraid to be weird with it.
If I remember, Kaguya actually did just, had a little antenna and always had, a spaceman helmet on,
she was wearing, because the character designs are very simplified. Kaguya's thing was, she was wearing basically a bubble space helmet which had little bamboo antennas sticking out of it, yes. That was her, defining feature. Well, not Secret Rider, because I gave her writing EX, because spaceships. Mm-hmm. Which is established, by the way. It has been canonically established by the likes of MHXX and others. If you fly spaceships, EX. I think actually regular MHX has writing EX because spaceships. Spaceship. So yeah, basically she can summon an entourage to protect her from the moon. They're pretty sophisticated and stuff. But
yeah, I was about to say.
This is also the end of her story. So
bye.
they're a little bit, the way I said it is, because again, this might be for a competitive thing, they're a little bit more flexible. She's already got a limited time on Earth as summoned as a servant. But ultimately, they're supposed to, take her back to the moon. She's supposed to leave. Mm-hmm. So, they can, come in to protect her at other times, but ultimately it's okay, we gotta go back eventually. And it did say, she could always jump in the palanquin with her master and ride off into the heavens and see what happens, but, well, I don't know what happens then. This is the weird thing sometimes about her experience. You're already dead, your legend is done, but also, it's weird.
Well, I guess usually in the case of Noble Phantasms, you are usually recreating.
Yes, you're recreating. So ultimately, probably somebody's going back to the moon. Yeah. It might just be these guys for a little bit. Again, you want some little things in there so you could be like in FGO, you could be oh, I can keep using this, or I can keep going back. But yeah, it's a story of return. I also put a second limiter in there because story limiters are fun. They can only show up when the moon is out, because duh. Mm. They're from the moon. If the moon's not there, where do they come from? They don't know.
Well, that's interesting. You say that, but you might not think that's as crazy as limiter is. I live in a place where I can look up in the middle of the day and be like, yeah, that's the moon.
Well, yeah, that's the fun thing, is you might think that you're oh, that means I can't do it in the day. No. There are plenty of places on Earth where you can see the moon in daylight. It's not a pure, I wanted to say, it's not a nocturnal noble phantasm. But it does require the moon to be showing, because I do believe that is how most versions of the legend end, is there's probably a big spooky full moon that Kaguya is looking at, and then moon people come from it and are we outie. Bye.
If this could be an FGO, I think it'd be interesting if, Kaguya Hime wasn't, killed, but instead was just swapped to the back row.
That could be a fun special quality, yeah.
Yeah.
And also to do the moon thing, you would probably make it so on quote unquote moonlight maps, it's stronger. It does something extra.
I would also say because when she leaves, she gives the Emperor the pills. I would feel like it would probably give a healing up buff, a healing buff, or a guts buff to the current party members. Before
that makes sense, right? Because that's kind of similar to how, by the way, that's not a fan servant, so I won't go into it. But FGO left me a great open-ender there, because I statted a VK Braun for the homebrew, and I had to deal with his third skill.
Mm-hmm.
But that's basically what his third skill, what a VK Braun's third skill kind of does, is like, even if he's gone, something still remains, which is unusual for servants. So yeah, it could be like kind of a cycle back thing, like, I gotta go for a little bit, bye.
Mm-hmm.
But she leaves stuff behind. Like, honestly, I think that for purposes of fan servant profiles, you should thoroughly work out all the noble phantasms. The 5 treasures are obviously a big deal. If she was an FGO or something, that would probably just be part of her attack animations, right? Like, or maybe we would swap out one of her more normal conventional skills with a skill that represented that noble phantasm to give her more mechanical depth. But honestly, that would not be the focal point, right?
No. Honestly, in FGO, all her attacks would just be bamboo shoots.
Well, funnily enough, I did, just to make sure she had a generic armament, I did say she should carry as her generic weapon a bamboo saw. And just hit people with it sometimes. Bonk. And yeah, that's basically my overall in there. I tried to draw syncretism and draw elements from not only the actual legend, but also how we think about that stuff in retrospect, right? Like a lot of the weird alien themes, because, well, people do actually think that sometimes. But then also drawing Nasuverse elements. Like I said, when I was remembering connecting this to like, okay, Pill of Immortality, can I do something about that? And then I was like, wait a minute. Isn't Paracelsus' Philosopher's Stone called the Photonic Crystal? And then it was just so easy to just be like, oh, well, it's just this skill, but with a different flavor, because somebody drew that connection for me already. Photonic Crystals from the Moon, Photonic Crystals Philosopher's Stone, Immortality, boom. And that's kind of what I got. And this is just one version, like I said. You could do different classes, do different weird interlinking stuff.
Like I said,
actually, Lucky, this is a good point. Do you want to talk about the Murasaki Shikabu thing?
Yeah, so, in recent times, there's been a little bit of talk about the relationships between, Kaguya Hime and, Murasaki Shikabu, because, as we know, Murasaki Shikabu in the Heian era was a prolific writer, but a lot of people have been recently reckoning how her lifestyle was somewhat similar to Kaguya Hime. First off, while Murasaki Shikabu didn't necessarily start off poor, she definitely had a definite rise to power. Well, not rise to power, but rise to like nobility and standing. Oh, my phone's going. Standing through her father and court life. Second bit, one of her most famous things is how. One of the more famous art pieces about her is her staring at the moon. Often when she was in writer's strikes, that's what she would. Not writer's strikes. Blocks. Phone, are you okay? Are you okay, phone? Stop that. Sorry. She would, stare at the moon, which is the other part of sad and staring. Looking at the moon. Third part is that Murasaki Shikabu, while she was married and did have a child. After that, became a widow and refused all marriage advances, even from the emperor at that time. Well, it wasn't the emperor, was it? I can't remember.
It was somebody highly placed. She was real tight with all those.
Yeah. And, just...
Actually, and also, speaking of, like, interesting quinky dinks, I'd have to double check, but what level the suitors are on is different. Like, at one point, I think some of them are, like, princes. They're supposed to be, like, second in command, so I don't know if they're supposed to be related to also the big E emperor who shows up later. This is not super detailed most of the time, by the way.
Yeah. No, so, like I said, it's no, like, real direct connection. No one's really saying, oh, it was, Murasaki Shikabu, like, actually, that, like, no. It's just interesting coincidences that I find are interesting in historical fashion. There's, of how, there are sometimes, there are people who basically kind of resemble what things happen in real,
right, and we've talked about this before. Between her and Sei Shonagon, between the Pillow Book and Lady Murasaki's Diary and Genji Monogatari, that era is like seminal in Japanese literature. That's Japanese Lit 101. I almost said a very unfortunate abbreviation there, but I skipped it. But yeah, no. So like, I could see why people would be like building on that, and like we said, the Tale of the Bamboo Cutter is very old.
It's very old. And it was actually, if I remember correctly, I could be saying this one, Tale of the Bamboo Cutter was Lady Murasaki's favorite piece of literature, growing up.
Taketone Monogatari. Yes,
so,
I believe so.
So, as a servant design, I would not be amiss to maybe see Lady Kaguya as a Murasaki face. Maybe, as I said, maybe,
Yeah, drawing elements of their design.
Drawing element design, like maybe so it's not so much that it's an alternate of, it's just that maybe Kaguya Hime just resonates with Murasaki so much that it's
that they happen to like look similar.
Yes. This is totally not a bit for me just wanting to write to the draw more. No, not at all.
And I mean, if you want to do more cross references, we've talked about this. We're big on Okami. The thing about the Moon Tribe and Okami is that they were blonde, like super blonde. But there's a lot of old stuff. Actually, yeah, I just double checked. So the Tale of the Bamboo Cutter, Taketore Monogatari, one of the oldest surviving monogatari. So that's a type of traditional Japanese literature. Basically, the Japanese culture's version of an epic novel. So the tale is likely as old as the early or the late rather 800s, between 871 and 881. Wow. And we do not have a strict idea of who wrote it. That's how old it is. There's no agreement whether it was a single person. It's sometimes attributed to Minamoto no Shitago, but also to abbots or other people, poets. And we also don't know. It could have been written by a group of people. It could have been written in the classical Chinese form used in Japan, kanbun. It could have been written in Japanese characters, or it could have even been written in Chinese. That might explain why some of the recurring directly Chinese elements, right?
Well, yeah, honestly, we didn't start getting Japanese until actually, like, Japanese as we... Japanese didn't start developing as its own language until about the Heian era.
Yes, and that's actually a big quality of... it's kind of similar to how Dante's Divine Comedy made using Italian suitable as a pop cultural thing.
Yes.
Where, like, because of things like Murasaki's Diary and the Pillow Book, but also especially the Tale of Genji, which were written in actual Japanese.
Yes.
Those were such great works of literature that it was actually like, oh, we can write in our own language. We're cool.
Yeah, that was because Murasaki wrote in basically the language of that the court ladies would use, because only men in official positions could use the quote-unquote official language of Chinese. Murasaki was on that fact that she could read and write both because of her father, who often bemoaned the fact that she was born a woman.
Yeah, would have been a greatly helpful member of the court, basically, which she wasn't already. She was already very influential, but that's how it goes in the time. The Heian period's very interesting. Not a lot of samurai guys fighting stuff. A lot of like sitting around in rooms talking about shit.
Yep, lot of culture and arts. And then the capital burned down.
There are also, interestingly enough, the bamboo cutter ethos is like that's a mythological archetype. Like that's a thing that recurs in poems and stories. Is there's a guy out cutting bamboo. It makes sense. You see this a lot in European fairy stories, right? The woodcutter, the woodsman, or charcoal burners, right? It's just, hey, if you're a dude wandering out in the woods, you're alone a lot, so
you might run into a witch or an animal or a thing.
And also, I think another aspect is you're alone a lot. You kind of have to develop a certain amount of keeping to yourself. So maybe you tell stories, and then you can tell stories to people. And it gives it a great excuse for not a lot of other people to be around when you witness something. All right, so I think that's everything with basically Fanservant Friday. So that was Princess Kaguya Hime as a foreigner. Let us know what you thought about that segment. Are there parts you want to hear more of? Are there parts you want to hear less of? Do you want more structure? Do you want less structure? Like, should there be more bants between me and Lucky about mythological concepts? Whatever, let me know. And when the next month starts, it was popular enough when we got enough votes. I assume this will be a continuing thing. We might drift the concept a little, but I will probably fire off another poll. And we'll probably have initial responses to this segment by the time it's a new month, because it's not the first until Tuesday. So we'll have a little bit of time to get some feedback. But yeah, we'll get some feedback, and I'll probably throw up another poll, and I'll have to think about who should be on it, because I put some spookums in the last poll because it was spookum themed. We might have a different theme for some originals for this one. Talk about some different things, some different concepts, because there's a lot of interesting, fun stuff to be had. And I've got a few ideas I'm particularly fond of that we can roll back to do some interesting things.
Mhm.
Like I said, I do have stats for the Red Baron. I could throw that up on the list and talk about how I figured that would work.
Mhm.
Let us know, kids at home. Okay, I think that's going to be the outro, though, Lucky. Or at least a transition to the outro.
Yeah, transition.
Because at least raw recording, we have been going for almost 3.5 hours. We had a decent amount of back and forth there.
Chunky.
All right. And expect next week, by the way, to also be very chunky, because we're going to go ham hog on...
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, we're going to go ham hog on the Lost Belt stuff.
I'll probably be done by next week.
Yeah, same. I mean, my phone's been charging for this last, hour and a half, 2 hours of the show, so I'm ready to go back. If I power through the story, that's just more free time to do dailies. Get Embos. Though there is a lotto coming up. I'm pretty sure Christmas is still a lotto. New Christmas.
It should
Kids out there, people. Am I right? Christmas is usually a lotto.
Let's see here. Christmas 2018. Lottery info.
Yes,
Let's see, what
I'm
we
being
got
told
in
it
here?
is a lotto. Sorry, I had to sneeze there.
A lot of cookies, bones,
Cookies. I need those.
fucking fangs. Yeah, no.
I hope that Shuten's skills aren't too important, because I have her stuck at 2-2 for the first skills because I ran out of cashew cookies again.
Yeah, it looks like it's skill. It looks like it's skill cookies, bones, fangs, horseshoes, crystals, and assorted items and assorted ascension items.
Yay!
Looks like yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and wrap the show up. So next week we will probably be doing our big boy deep dive on Lost Belt. I know that's a little soon for us, but like we said, we're already halfway through, and we do lots of stuff. So there's only so much we can do.
Mhm.
Hopefully it doesn't take other people too long to catch up. But yeah, we're ready to rock and roll. So we'll do that more. By then, like I said, next week, when we record this, the stream will have happened, so hopefully we'll have more details on Heian-kyo, Hell Mandala, whatever's going on there. Maybe a banner, maybe a CM, maybe some Servant Noble Phantasms. Who knows?
I said by this time the stream should have come out already, so we'll have deets. We'll have some deets at least.
We'll have something, yeah, like we said. The stream will happen. What will happen on that stream? I don't fucking know.
I want to see him.
I can't predict JP streams. I can barely predict NA streams. Who would predict the giant floating head Albert? Eh.
I am a little concerned. We did just get a CM for Imaginary Scramble. Will they give us back-to-back CMs?
Probably, yeah. I mean, it was only not too long ago that they released the CM for the new Guda Guda, right?
I guess that's true.
That was a little bit longer ago, but yeah, it's and technically I do believe those are all done by Cloverworks now, so they're only 30-second shorts. So they're not super long, but hopefully, because that studio's been expanding, they have plenty of time to do a little bit of work. Like I said, because I am sure this is called Lost Belt 5.5. This is going to be a thing. There's going to be stuff here.
If this is going to be a big stream, also, give me some fucking news on Time Temple Solomon.
Yes, actually, because there was I don't think I've watched it yet, but there was another preview or trailer for the movie, for Camelot, because that's coming out soon.
I believe they say it's going to be this December. I think they actually had to have a release date.
Yes, it is it has a plan in Japan. So yeah, there's that. But yes, Time Temple Solomon adaptation, I would love to hear more about as well, because they did do the stage play, and so far the stage plays have been a good reckoning of what they're doing, because that's they did a stage play for Camelot, they did a stage play for Babylonia, they did a Babylonia anime, did a Camelot anime. It's almost like those are the most favoritist storylines or something. So. All right. So that'll be probably next week's show. Hey, once again, because it actually worked out really well last time, if you're watching this live or early because you're a patron, it'll be the next day. But if you're watching this on a public release day on YouTube, later that day, we'll be streaming What's Up again, because, like we said, it actually seemed to get more viewer interaction and have more views overall, so we'll keep doing it, because people seem to actually watch it.
What should I stream?
I don't know. You got anything fun? Got anything new?
I did just get Star Wars. I could do Civ 5, Genshin Impact. I could do more Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity. Shoot, maybe I'll throw up a quick poll on Twitter.
Yeah, you can do some flash polling. We love flash polls.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll think about that one. We got stuff to talk about. more gacha, more other things. Plenty of things we mentioned to talk about as we move along. And we'll find some other bullshit to talk about, of course, because we're us. But yeah, if you're watching this live to public, that'll be being live streamed on our channel later that day.
Yes.
Okay then, so I think that's all of our usual news stuff. If you haven't seen it already, which you might not have, I'm not super surprised because he's permanent, and a lot of people are talking about Arjuna Alter, who comes out next year and is very, very big, very important in meta. But Wanted Xiangyu is out, so you can check that out if you want. And I am working with a partner on Wanted Shinshi, and that should be next week sometime.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to throw this wholly on the people I'm working with. I also have to get together my assets and stuff as well. So I'll probably do that at the start of next week and hopefully get everything stitched together into a format that is good for people. So, yeah, I'll throw it out there. Got a lot of fun stuff happening in the Lost Belts and whatnot. Okay, I think it's everything with the channel. So, speaking of streams, make sure to tune in Tuesday and Thursday for more streams. I don't know when Among Us is doing that new map. They said soon. If that's come out by Tuesday, I might do another Among Us community stream.
I might get in on that.
I'd have to check them. I know they did like a minor bug fix update, but they've been previewing the new map, so if there's a new map on Among Us, that's like big boy streaming. Otherwise, I'll probably just stream more Spider-Man because I really need an excuse to play more Spider-Man. And then I don't know what Lucky will be doing Thursday because I'm sure you'll be done with Lost Belt 3 by then.
I probably will be. I could always just go do...
We're at like section 9, I think, out of like 18 or something. 19? Yeah, no. I mean, if you're asking about how the Xiangyu Wanted is doing, not great, honestly.
Well, again, I think you just mentioned this. People were more excited for, like, Arjuna Alter coming in the future.
Yeah, this is kind of the question mark, right, about clairvoyance is, like, it's honestly, it's pretty bad, guys. It's like only at like 500 after, a few days, which is very low for a Wanted. Like, not even breaking 4 digits. Got a decent amount of likes and a decent amount of engagement, but it did not blow up like a lot of others. Like, I expect Qin Shi Huang will do much better just because that's going to be a much bigger deal, right? Much like how... can I pull up the stats on what Wanteds are the best?
The best.
How do they do the best in views? Yeah, like, Scotty, obviously, Scotty is at almost 5.5k. Right?
Powerful.
Yeah. Our next biggest is Okita Alter at 3k, basically, right? Mm-hmm. That one shocked me a little bit, but she is a very popular character, even if not a popular unit. And then I've got a few that are all hovering at around 2k. Abby, Kiara, Gramps, actually, right? With Abby was always a breakout hit. She's popular, shocks nobody. I believe Kiara got much better because she got over 2k because her banner came back around. It was like the 1 million downloads or something that came with another rate-up of her. So she kind of percolated because she's got a lot of buffs and stuff. Yeah, so like, there are some very, very hard-hitting ones. They got a lot of comments, but yeah, no, Xiangyu's not super big, and like I said, I'm not entirely sure why. I think it is probably related to the fact that, yes, he is permanent, but he fills similar niches to units that have already been in, and he's weird. He's like a robot centaur skeleton man. That's weird. It's very weird. I don't know how... like, that's certainly marketable to some people, but that is not conventionally marketable.
Yeah.
And I'll be interested to see. But it's out already. I released it about a day before the thing hit up. So you should actually, like, go ahead and check it out if you haven't. It gives you some interesting stuff. And we talk about some actual history, which is important because... as a character in Lost Belt, this is purely Lost Belt Xiangyu, so shit's different. Alright, I think that's all our major notations. Before I do the full outro, I will go ahead and do the shilling, as usual. It is almost the end of December. It's a great time to get in if you want to be a patron. Just wait for the rollover. You can support us at different levels. If you want access to Teach Me Omega Sensei polls, normally, actually, by the way, because I'm probably not going to run a poll this month, I'll just do Homunculus automatically. And then we'll do some new stuff. Just because we've only got one left, we'll reset for the new year like we do. But also, Fanservant Friday will still be a poll. So, assuming you guys don't hate that section, that'll be a poll as well. That's our 5 and up patrons. You can listen to the show live, get access to audio early for as little as $1 a month or $10 a year, if you guys ever want to roll over to annuals. And, yeah, I think that's all my major stuff. I already mentioned, don't forget that Cyber Week sale. Code Cyber Week, all one word, all caps.
Mhm.
Get merch, 10% off. We do have shirts and stuff. And phone cases. And maybe pillows. Possibly towels. Not fanny packs, unfortunately. Those have a weird area. I think I would need Lucky to specifically draw for the dimensions of a fanny pack.
I don't know if I want to draw for a fanny pack.
It's okay, you don't have to. You'd probably want to draw for leggings, but that would also require specific dimensions.
I would totally put, like a fucking Lucky seal of approval right on the fucking ass.
Mm-hmm. We could also do, like, the rolling background like you do for streams with just the rabbit wah face. We'll figure some shit out. Merch is something we are, even after, like, 2 years, we're still experimenting with. Because it honestly, to do it good, it takes a lot of effort. Like, a lot of our early merch is very, I'll be real, it's low effort. I put some text on some t-shirts. But, you know, it's got some stuff, it supports us, so check it out. Aight. So, it's time for the full outro. Which is, if you're watching this episode on YouTube, be sure to give it a like if you like it. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section down below. Love our comment section, always bumping. You can also hit us up on Discord. Our link is, as always, in the description of this video and on our channel page. Our channel page also, by the way, has a link to our Patreon and our Teespring store, if you're looking for those.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, if you're new here and haven't already, please subscribe to the channel to always get our latest videos. And even if you're already subscribed, considering that bell for notifications so you always know when we post a new video. Or when we stream. And I think that'll be important because, especially with Wanted, it's entirely possible that they're gonna, like... Because the second part banners are usually supposed to be, like, a surprise, it's entirely possible that they'll shim-sham us and, like, just be like, oh, it's happening. Oops.
Here you go.
Oops, banner. So, that's why sometimes Wanted's release in the middle of the night. And why Omega likes to be pre-prepped for Wanted's. So, check that out. Make sure to turn on the notifications. You always know when we're firing up on stuff. You can also join our channel as a member. Join our memberships. Get access to emotes. Help us out. Join link in the description and the little button down there next to subscribing. And I already really did the patron bit, so I won't repeat it. I've already said all the things there. But that's usually what goes here as I talk about the patron bit, because I mentioned it at the front of the show. Shoutouts to Nor. It's great. It supports us. It's a little bit more consistent than some of the ad rev stuff going on with YouTube. So if you like us and want us to be able to keep doing this in a reliable fashion, consider throwing us some support. All right. Well, I hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving and stayed safe. Stayed safe especially because of stuff, and also are still staying safe because right now it's Black Friday. Don't go crazy and don't line up for like 5 hours to get a PS5 or an Xbox.
I mean, there's none.
They're gone already. Also,
there are stories about this now. We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll talk about some of that tomorrow. Some of the Black Friday shenanigans. Stay inside. Cyber Monday is better, safer. And I think that's all the stuff. So we're gonna go. And I'm gonna go back to Lost Bell 3. Yeah. Alright, bye everybody.
Bye.